Well, welcome everyone to episode 18 of Hash Church. Great to have you all here for our 18th episode of Hash Church. I'm just going to send the link out to our fellow Hash Churchers. I'm inviting Samantha and John, Ramon, Soma, and Milo from Big Buddha Seeds, Todd McCormick, Tony Verzura, Brian Schroeder, and Stevie Hughes from D-Nail, Dr. David Allen, and then I got 5 others that I invited in. Who else did I get in? I'll have to go to the list and see. I think Horatio's in there. I think, oh yeah. Well, welcome everyone to episode 18 of Hash Church. Oh, I always do that, don't I? I guess we all do. So yeah, we've got an interesting group lined up for today. We'll see when they start making their ways in. I had a bit of an interesting situation recently. I really wanted to get Kay from Trichome Technologies back in. I wanted to get Horatio and Tony and all 3 of those guys with the terp work that they're doing. I also wanted to get D-Nail guys in. So I was having a really good conversation recently with, now I'll have to go look up his name real quick, with Willie Irv. So I should invite Willie Irv in, if I can find him, because he had some really good information. He works with D-Nail, and I think it's Willie Irv. Oh, I can't find him. I'll have to wait for someone else to invite him in. All right, welcome, Johnny B. How are you this fine morning?
I'm very well. Good morning, fellow hashers.
Yeah, we got 87 people in here so far watching.
Well, nice. Well, you know, of course I got my bong up. I
got mine too.
This new bowl that I got from you, actually, to hit this nice little old roar. I've been sitting on the side burner for a while, so it's kind of nice to be able to enjoy it again.
Yeah, no doubt. I know the feeling sometimes when you got that pipe just sitting over in the corner, and it's maybe you don't have the down stem or you don't have the bowl, and it's lost a little bit of interest, and then one day a simple replacement of a stem or a bowl, and all of a sudden you've got a fat piece of glass that you're ripping on. It looks like the one we were ripping on at the Toronto airport almost.
No, that would be the TY one. This is just my roar one before I even got a TY one. This is like 4 years. It sat for like 2 years. It's kind of nice to be able to pull that old piece of glass.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Welcome, True.
Hey guys, how's it going?
How are you doing, brother?
Yeah, good man. Always happy for Hash Church.
Hash Church. Make sure you throw that on mute there, Johnny, just for the coughing aspect. We're going to be muting our mics today when we're not talking, and we already have 150 people in Hash Church, guys. It just went up to 153 from 87 3 minutes ago that I was talking to John. So it's cool that people are awake. I mean, I guess some people like yourself, True, are in Europe, so it's 7, 8, and 9 hours difference.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm on Hash Church hours. I stayed up, watched UFC, and then wake up for like a Hash Church morning.
Right. How's Amsterdam today?
Amsterdam's good. I was hoping for more snow. We had a tiny little bit of snow yesterday. I was kind of hoping it would cover the whole place in white, but it melted, and now it's a little bit miserable, but still Amsterdam. So it's always fun.
Welcome, Michael. I'm just up in Whistler, and it is much warmer than we would like it. It's about plus 7 degrees, which I guess is 36 or 37 degrees in Fahrenheit. And up on the top of the mountain, where it should be well below 0, it's actually 2 and 3 degrees in the plus. So that's terrible for us. Driving into Whistler was almost depressing. All the snow was melted on the side of the roads, and I was just like a tear was welling up in my eye. I think today is going to be Hash Church for 3 hours, smoke mad bowls, and then go poach as many hot tubs as I can in a 2-hour period around the Whistler area. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing real good, man. Nice to see you in Hash Church.
Well, thanks for having me in.
Yeah, dude. Well, you know what? I've just been trying to, obviously create the best sort of show that I can, even though I'm not really creating anything. I'm just a dude that just opens a channel and I invite people in. But at the same time, there's a way to direct things and create good conversation where we kind of get into those doors that everyone's, the gems that everyone's looking for. And I figured you were a perfect guy for such things. You're really geeking out on hash making these days, and you're very excited and passionate about it. So I thought I'm inviting Mike in.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I agree with everything I heard.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, today, you know, I'm hoping on getting a terpene conversation going. I want to get Horatio and Tony, and I want to get Todd McCormick with Kay from Trichome Technologies. And then on the other side of the extraction of the terpenes, I want to bring in Stevie Hughes and Brian Schroeder from D-Nail, as well as Willie Irv. And what these guys have been doing lately is they've already got their nail, their components beautifully worked out. It's a high-end unit with British components. The D-Nail is top notch. Now exactly true. British components, yes. And so now what they've done is they've really started playing with the different types of materials that you can vaporize off of. So they've sent me titanium. They've sent me quartz. I've got the quartz. They've sent me ceramic I've got on the way from Hive, a D-Nail ceramic Hive hybrid. And then they've also sent me sapphire. And then recently they sent me silicon carbide, which is the material they make drill bits out of. And if you've ever seen a crucible full of molten metal, like gold or silver, those metals are held in silicon carbide. So this is about 8.9 on the hardness scale. It's stronger than titanium, so scraping it with titanium will only actually wear down the titanium. And what I've noticed from my side-by-side testing, from low temps and high temps, is that all of these components are releasing the vapor in a different ratio, in a different profile. And how I would explain that is that certain terpenes are affected in a negative way when tapped to a certain, well, for example, titanium seems to be the most dramatic. It seems to change the taste the most from, say, when you go from Thai to quartz. The first time you hit quartz, I'm sure a lot of you would be like, oh my god, the taste on that. And there's just something about it hitting the quartz and the way it's different from when it hits the Thai. And I feel it in my throat as a much lighter, not quite as sharp taste. And in fact, when I was hitting the quartz for a very long time and Hive sent me the ceramic and I put the ceramic on my nail and I went to hit it, it had a very strange taste to me, and almost so strange that I thought I better not do a review on this product. It's not going to be good. And I talked to Mike from Hive recently about it, and he was saying that it was probably the difference of the quartz to the ceramic. And I kind of was like, I don't know, man, it tasted weird. And then when I got the silicon carbide and I started hitting D420K's dry sift, the New York City Diesel, which is very, very orange, citrusy, very, very strong, much like Tangy, or even the Terbzilla. And so that particular flavor, when I hit it on the silicon carbide, well, now it made it taste funny in the quartz. So now when I went back to quartz after hitting the silicon carbide, I was like, wait a minute. So I think that we are going to have some monster revelations in how we inhale these terpenes, just as big as how we extract them and get them into a pure form. Because it's one thing to extract a terpene, but if you're hitting it or using it in the sort of more damaging way, obviously it's not going to be as enjoyable as hitting it, in the most enjoyable way. So that was a long rant. Welcome, Horatio. Welcome, Samantha.
On that same note, Mark, I've noticed myself recently when I've tried quartz that when I thought that people have gone to give the dab too hot, it still has flavor, where I know that on titanium, unless you do get it real low, there is no flavor there. But it seems like even the hottest dab on one of the quartz little bangers or whatever, it seems to still have flavor, no matter how hot it is, no matter how quick it evaporates, there's flavor there, there's terpenes. Those are gone on titanium.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. That has everything to do with the way the material dissipates the heat. And so when you have yourself a titanium bowl like this is a hybrid, so it's got the silicone carbide on top, because they've mounted it to titanium. But this is the Thai nail, and when you've got this thing heated up that if you try to grab it on the bottom, you're going to burn your fucking fingers. You're not going to be able to pull that nail out of the unit. However, with quartz, which this is a quartz nail right here, and this nail is on right now, I can lift it right out. This nail is hot, like 750 degrees. It's got the thing on it. If I move my finger up like a half an inch, I'll burn my finger. but I can hold it all day long from here, and even in fact, I can get it out when the joint is in, which is like, dude, that's insane that I can do that.
That is wild.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 750 degrees on right now, Fahrenheit, so it's definitely like a warm D-nail.
Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, I thought it would be a neat conversation, and you know what? It might not happen today. We might not get all the group of people, but it was something I wanted to mention so that we don't forget, whether it gets spoke about in this hash church, but it takes us to the road where you've got a guy like Mike who's been learning about dry sifting, and he learned the dry sift tech, the 2-screen gravity tech, and then he started carding, and then he learned the static trick, and so he's going through all these different things. He's realizing, oh wow, you can preserve things this way and that way, and water hash might lose some flavors, and butane might lose more flavors. But now we get to the point where once you've acquired that unadulterated cannabinoid high, that terpene profile, now it's how do you hit it? Like even right now, I have a hard time watching people burn bowls. Isn't that wild? Like John the other day was burning a bowl, and I was literally like, oh my god.
Sorry for the stress I'll be giving you.
Dave passed me, Flav421 passed me a bowl the other day, and we were sitting down for a session. Johnny was there, and I had the D-nail all loaded, and I literally almost dumped the bowl he gave me into my bowl and hit it in the D-nail because I was like, it's just so much more enjoyable. It's incredible. What do you guys have to say about that? Am I just...
Unless, if I've got good quality melty hash, it won't see a flame. But if it's the grades that aren't quite up to that meltiness, then I might hit it with a flame. But
yeah,
if
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, if it's melty goodness, then yeah, I want to get as much out of it as I can, and a flame just seems like sacrilege.
That's all you've ever shown me is melty goodness. I didn't know you smoked anything else.
Yeah, you know what? Material's low. Now I'm on like the second run, and things aren't quite melting as good.
Yeah. I can find my hash here.
On that note, I'm gonna do a bong rip.
Yes, all of you will do a bong rip, and I'll leave it up to Michael to hold the room down for 5 minutes while I find my hashish.
All right. Well, the timing of that conversation is great. I've got my first rig, and I've got no nail, so now I know a little bit more on how to approach that situation.
Well,
I've got these remarkable glands that have been producing just this, this isn't going to show anything, but wildly dark, almost black, bittersweet chocolate, just from pressing the glands with a little bit of heat. And these guys are probably a year and a half old, and the flavors on them are, they're really magical. And they bring you back to kind of that old world hash, but you know, with the just absolute full melt reduction. But dang, do I want to get this on a good nail and really experience it, because all I'm doing is burning it in the bowl with a titanium screen here, and I know it's giving Mark a little heartburn.
Well, I'll tell you, when I saw the hash, I also wanted to put it on a nail. I see that color in the tropics. I see it in Spain. I see it in Jamaica. I see it in the warmer environments where they grow beautiful outdoor herb, and then they don't just sell it within minutes of it being cut down, but it actually gets cured and held onto for a while, and then when you make hash out of it, it just has this most beautiful color of a deep red, and that's what I saw in that hash that I'm pretty sure it's the cannoli that you photographed a day or two ago.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I recognize hash. It's my thing.
And
it's my thing.
These old glands, there's something different, I tell you that. And it's not the kind of rip that, or you know, the rush and stuff that I get from a nice fresh sift, or you know, smoking anything that's heavy on the THC. There's something that's really changed over time in this, and
Yeah.
It's a wonderful and mellow experience. Just
Well, we've talked about this
mellow to the furthest degree.
You know, it seems to be the older guys that seem to notice it, and what it is it's this range of like volatile terpenes that are almost harsh, and it's like they're also maskers of the other smells. And so when we can get rid of those through the cure, which is why we don't just make fresh frozen and sell it 2 days later, we want to cure it out, and then you get these flavors that are like, you know, everyone's surprised when they hit it, and everyone's like, oh, this is different. This is like, oh man, what is this? Like, wow, it's so smooth. Like, it was literally, legitimately like me in Amsterdam this year with the Sweet Skunk Dry Sift. That dry sift was so well received by every single person that smoked it because it was so smooth. It was like, I wouldn't say it was the strongest, most crippling, most tastiest, best hash in Amsterdam. I just would say that it was the smoothest.
Honestly,
It was such.
I think it made my throat feel better when it was sore.
Yeah.
That's how it was. I'm not
That's
joking.
what it's about, right there.
I swear, there was one time I got past a joint that just ripped up my throat. Next thing, we're at Mark's, and I've got a nice dry sift hit, and the throat tickle's gone. It smoothed it off. It's like it done some healing. So, yeah, I can attest to that. Super, super delicious. Like,
Well, that's the thing. You know, imagine, True, when people are making their Legends of Hash entry today, and they're making it today so they can cure it out for a year, so when it gets to Legends, it's still going to have that incredible tap and that incredible, but like this is what people don't understand they're competing with. It's like, man, these people have started long before, like 2 weeks before Legends.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Legends. I was thinking about the next entry before this year's Legends.
I was rolling next year's entry when I was at this year's fucking So there, I got you one up. You were thinking about it. I was already growing for next year.
But I may have already had some of mine sat to one side.
So what are you growing for next year, Johnny, just so we know to look for it?
Pardon me?
Which ones are you growing right now that you're going to be bringing to Legends? I want to make sure that this happens.
Oh, the number 2.
Number 2 is the one that's coming to Legends, and that's what you're bringing?
I'm bringing
I think that's going that or the Medi, but it's definitely been, and getting back to those, it's the number 2 of the terps, and we're talking about the terps and how I like it for more uplifting, where the Medi, the terps and that are more down regulating. So it's depending on what you're talking, you know what, depending on how I feel, I guess.
All right.
We're talking about the terpenes, and I'm puffing on D's New York Diesel, and last week I was using Horatio's Pineapple Express. They both have that more uplifting. I like that for morning because it makes me feel better. And that's why I don't like the Medi Kush in the morning, because I think that terp makes me more sedating. So we were talking about the terpenes and how they modulate different things. So.
Well, we know that Kushes are obviously sedated. We know that those are, I talked to Remo about this recently, that it's the smell of medicine. That we know that the fruity smells are more of these uplifting modulators. They're the ones that get things going. So that's, it's neat to hear people using this language, I have to say, because I'm telling you, 10 years ago I felt like I was an alien trying to get conversation going with people. And now everyone's on it. They all know that terpenes modulate cannabinoids, and I shit you not, 10 years ago, Skunkman Sam was the only person I could have a conversation with about this. So we have come a long way, really. The fact that people know what's going on, they have a better idea, and sure, you know, there's sort of, we were talking about it in chat today, there's the science, and then there's just the knowing. And so they're two different things, but they're both equally. Oh, Horatio, what are you puffing on? What kind of vaporizer is that, Horatio? What are you puffing on, Horatio? Horatio is puffing on glycerin, diluted with some other mixtures out of a V2, I believe. I should get it right at this point.
No, it's an IPv3.
IBV3.
Can you do a bong rip for us, Horatio?
I do. It's just this stupid whipcord is always off screen, so it never comes on screen, and then everyone thinks I'm not smoking.
Dude, we know you're not smoking, bro.
And as we all know, these cords are killing pipes right now, so I'm not like really trying to move or walk with my shit or.
Dude, that shit made me sick.
It made me. I felt stabbed. I was like, how do I feel cut by glass in my stomach by looking at broken glass?
Whoa.
But, you know, shout out to Brett Maverick for the most painful IG post I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I agree. Such a good dude. The very day before he was giving out bud to homeless, and then the next day his egg breaks.
Ugh. And it wasn't even his. It was half his roommate, so he still owes $1,000 for it.
What's your break?
We're talking about Brett Maverick broke his fab egg, so we're talking about how sick we feel for Brett. We're sorry, Brett, that you didn't deserve your egg to be broken, that's for sure. And, well, hopefully it ends up getting its way back to mothership, and I don't know how often they actually even bother fixing clear pieces, but, man, you know we paid $2,000+ for that piece. You hope that it... it's just a sickening thing. Even I look at mine all the time, and I think this is so delicate. Man, I would cry 1,000 tears if this broke.
I broke the gum stem on this bada bing, and I cried.
Aside of the value, they end up becoming very sentimental to you, and it's the memories that come with it, and all the sessions, and yeah.
Well, for sure.
From cost, they really do become like sentimental, and they share a lot of adventures, so yeah, glass becomes more than just a valuable asset, it becomes a very sentimental one too.
Yeah, no, it's for sure the true story right there. You get attached to these little guys. All of the bowls that you smoke and share. I had a great little session yesterday with Christopher from Oil Slick, came up with his girlfriend, and we met at the BCMP and had a nice 2-hour session and ended up going for some nice food afterwards. So, and then we had a session in my car with the Club Banger and the Fab Egg. Man, does the Fab Egg hit like crazy, though. It might be potentially the greatest dab pipe ever. I understand why so many people want it. It's not just because they want it. Because you know how sometimes we just want things because we want things?
So, my cat's trying to get to my hash right now. It's funny. She literally just opened up the drawer.
Welcome,
my dog's
Tony.
trying to push me off the seat.
Tony?
What's that, Samantha?
I said my dog's trying to push me off my seat.
Oh, he's trying to get into your seat, eh? It could become dog church again. I think one time Tony got his dog, and then all of a sudden it was like everyone had their dogs on Hash Church. It was dog church. Nice. What kind of dog is that? That looks like a serious beast.
Yeah, she's a bit of a wolf, actually. She's an Akita crossed with an Alaskan Malamute.
Nice. Going for those LBI landrace dogs.
Yeah, definitely. Wanted a real dog.
Yeah, closer to the root. Closer to the root. We were talking about, Tony uses a metaphor of the Jamaican genetics and how they've been bred down by people from the north and the western hemispheres going in and bringing all these sort of lower quality genetics and like breeding out the wolf, so to speak. And so now they've got a jungle full of chihuahuas and they're wondering why they're all sick and hurting and dying, and it's like, well, you bred the fucking genetics out that allowed it to live healthy here. So did I get that right, Tony? He's laughing. I must have got it right. Oh, got the pillar. Is that a sovereignty?
Yeah, I'm just cleaning it.
Shit.
It's the original pillar.
I was going to say, that looks like old school.
Old school.
Nice. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was. I said that it's like breeding the. It's like I was comparing it to like my Pomeranian. At one point, the Pomeranian was a 40-pound sled dog that was like out in the wilderness, and we bred it down to a 10-pound little tiny Pomeranian, like a Chihuahua. So we're breeding. The land race would be the wolf, and then the dog would be. The Chihuahua would be like breeding it back out.
So how was your trip to California? Making history?
My trip was good. Hold on a second.
It looks pretty incredible. It's neat how through social media we can actually all feel like, you know, like, oh, you know, the picture of all of them holding the greenhouse plants, the picture of them on the jet. Like just a few little pictures makes you feel like you're kind of, you know, you're along for the ride. It's very cool.
It's a lot of fun.
There are some good things to get out of social media. It's not all terrible if you use it. I think the internet's just generally like that. You can use it for good, You can use it for bad. What do we got here? Some people in chat talking about it. Yeah, Tony's prepping for his church sacrament hit. Darth Blaze, thanks Todd, will do. Hello,
Social media is great for educating. I mean, look at the information that we're able to get out there now. It's awesome. People are talking more about exactly what we're talking about, terpenes, hash. So much now. Amazing.
It's cool.
It is, you know, it's really nice to see that. Even though I had a gentleman I was talking to this morning, he was always a BHO guy, Jason, and I was in private chat with him talking about how he's now got all into hash, and now he's trying to help his brother who's on a lot of painkillers due to back injuries back in PEI. So, of course, sending him some information and stuff like that. But people are really looking at how just the separation of the gland heads and how we can start looking at how it affects pain control and really taking a better look at cannabis medicine.
Well, they're finally realizing it's a pizza inside a pizza box.
Exactly.
And they don't have to eat the box. Wow, what an incredible revelation that could be.
You know, and really taking a good look at how those different gland heads for me, and that's why I'm talking so much to people, is how it's helping me with my pain and stuff like that. And it's really, that's what Hash Church is about, is really talking about how we can get this good information out there.
Yes, indeed, and that's what we're doing. We start slow. We just puff a few bowls. I actually had a good conversation that I started with Horatio and Tony. We are missing Brian and Stevie and Kay from Trichome Technologies, who I would love to be a part of this, but it was in regards to, once we figured out different ways of acquiring terpenes and re-administering terpenes, then we get to the point, especially with the final product, if we're vaporizing, that we can all concur that vaporizing off of ceramic, sapphire, titanium, quartz, and silicon carbide are all different from one another. Would you guys, if you haven't hit them all, you have hit at least titanium, quartz, and ceramic, I would guess. And would you not both agree that they have differences in them?
I would.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward in the sense that they do. They dissipate heat differently, so of course they're going to dissipate the vapor differently depending on how fast they cool and how long they hold their temperature from, which True was talking about earlier. Hitting a tie nail that he's let cool for a while can burn off a hit so much so that he doesn't really get that terp hit, whereas with quartz, even hitting it fairly red hot, he still gets that terp hit. So I guess it gets into becoming like obsessive compulsive, doing the side-by-side tests with dry sift, which is a great thing to test it with because it's an unadulterated terpene profile, and then just testing them side by side. Why I bring this up is because D-Nail's new silicon carbide nail is just the greatest tasting thing I've ever hit anything off of. Not so much so that I would go and throw my quartz away, but definitely so much so that I probably won't ever hit titanium again. I'll have the carbide and I'll have the quartz. I don't mind hitting ceramic. They're all different for me. I get a different tasting hit with the same hash out of those three different components.
Well, I think so, because I mean, if you try to just standardize the temperature of all those different hits, even like when you gave me the sapphire to put in the titanium, they all have a different temperature range for nailing, you could say, that sweet spot. Because when I find that I don't like quartz because I get this taste that seems to be a no matter what. It's a pleasant taste, and I see why people like it. When I take a hot hit, I'm like, oh yeah, I see why that makes it taste good. But I don't understand this quartz taste. It tastes like something glass-related, where you know how I am with my titanium. I won't hit it 10 degrees hotter or it's ruined. I can tell it's ruined, I can see the degradation, I know the loss. So you can see why I'm so finicky about titanium getting hot. And I see why. I'm like, well, if you got it any hotter, I'd hate it too. And I would stick to the quartz equivalent at that temperature. So, I mean, I'm really interested in the silicon carbide now, because with me being so nutty at low temperatures, I would instantly know, okay, that's better, that's the end game, now how do we clean it?
Yeah, it's much harder on the hardness scale than titanium. You need a 9.0 or harder to cut it. It's the way it holds heat is quite nice. And one of the things I was going to say is that you're also hitting, I would say, 90% oil, correct? You're not hitting the dry sift as often.
Well, with the dry sift, and if you remember that silly crown, when we went into the terp hits, I just put it right on top and started at the same 350. Now, for the breath of the actual hit, I add 20 degrees because that sift has got to melt down into an oil before you're vaporizing. Pretty much, I need a 10-second boost, so I give it 20 more degrees, but in that same range, I won't hit it warmer. Like, I won't hit dry sift. I don't like touching it to the titanium, but I don't mind floating it in a screen above the titanium and hitting it. But I'm really finicky about putting actual wax membranes against titanium. So I always use a floating screen. That's why I'm so Jermichael crazy. So I know that makes a major difference, that the wax membranes aren't really hitting and burning on that titanium. But if they did, I would hate it too, and I see why people then gravitate towards quartz.
Yeah, they're all different. I'll tell you, quartz has always been my favorite, but and I mean, I talked to Mike from Hive about this the other day as well, in regards to, he was bringing up, he's like, yeah, man, but I'll tell you, there's something about hitting it off of that fresh white ceramic and watching the resin boil and drip away. And I was like, dude, I completely agree. There really is. But at this point, I'm going for best taste and function over eye candy. Even though I agree, it's true. I love hitting. I mean, that whole screen method of putting it on top of the nail, that's like the standard for a melt shot. You know, the classic melt shot was a screen shot for 10 plus years, thanks to Perhaps and myself and other macro photographers. We set the bar for what that is. It's a flat screen with the bubble right on top of it. So it's funny to see now it's considered a tech because it got dropped on top of a nail.
Well, the email really brought the possibility of maintaining the temperature on that screen up. So it's a lot, you know, I feel that if I have to do the quartz banger on the road with the sift, I'm just not enjoying it. I'm just kind of getting my medicine, but I feel like I'm losing my work and my effort, you know, for the time spent.
I think Tony will love this carbide nail, the silicon carbide nail, and I'll try to get them to send you one, Tony. It's fucking huge. It fits those giant screens that you have perfectly. And it's flat. So the screen doesn't sit up on the center node. It's flat against the whole dish. I call this their Chicago deep dish. Like, this is ridiculous. You kind of got to hold it up to like another nail to see how huge it is. Like, this is a big quartz banger that we hit all the time, right? Like, look at that fucking thing.
Huh. Yeah, it's funny that you were, when you're talking about the screen, like before I knew you, that's the kind of photography that I looked at. And we had this one, like back, I don't know, maybe a year or so, 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, we did what was called the melt test. And so I took one of those screens, and as soon as I got my e-nail, I was like, because we kept torching it and then dropping it and torching it and dropping it, and it was so ridiculously retarded. You're like, oh, you're burning it, and like shit's falling everywhere. Yeah. And I had never seen anyone do it, so I thought I was one of the first, but I put the e-nail on. I was like, oh, this is going to make way more sense. And I just dropped the screen on that, so that way, and that was also I could take a picture and then do videos of it.
Yes.
Gibbs was with me, and I was like, yeah, this is the melts test. This is, we want to see how fast does it melt, how clean does it melt, how much does it bubble, what's the biggest bubble you could get out of it. Try to do one breath, and that was the melt test. And that turned into trichome heavy extracts. And then we had like the titanium screen, and now I have those that you get them from Aqualab for like $9.50, something like that. People are like, oh, they're so expensive, but honestly, I've never used one through. I have like.
People are hilarious like that. I'm not paying $9. It lasts you for years. Fuck that. I'm not paying $9.
Yeah, and you don't torch it. It's just like when you're done with it, you can drop it if you want.
Casey's holding one up right there.
Yeah. Exactly. So that little hole, I'm gonna have to call that out because that little hole that I saw with essential extracts. Jibs and I were at a High Times event, and Jibs poked a hole in his screen because of that thing.
I remember it was all like crazy frayed, and I saw a picture of it. It was like a screen that looked like someone shot it or something.
Yeah, and then I'll never forget though. Nicotine had come up and he was like, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Why would you poke a hole in it?" And he was like, "Oh, because it fits on the nail part in the front." And then it was like not 2 weeks later, it was like screens with holes in it. And I was just like, all right, whatever.
A product.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? A good businessman recognizes a good idea even when he himself doesn't have it. So there you go.
No, absolutely. That was the evolution of the screen. You've got the hole. And...
Totally. I'm good without the hole, I have to say.
The hole's nice though. Keeps a nice flow.
I just go straight on the nail these days, I have to admit. I smoke so much that I can't imagine having to drop it on the screen and like although this one is so big, a screen would balance amazing on this fucking thing. It's really stupid big.
Yeah, I need to get one of those because what it sounds like is like this is the quartz that I use. This is a honey hole, right?
Yep.
And basically this you can pick up and grab, like we talked about. And then this has another part that sits inside a base, so you can just put this down on.
Yes.
I'll show you what I mean.
Tony's setup. As you can see, we take this fairly serious. And what's going on in tell me there? Oh yes, you know what? Those are great, and I actually have one of those, and I was looking for it yesterday, and I got it from Ruhr years ago. And literally yesterday I was like, man, you know what would be sweet? In regards to when I change my hot quartz nail and put the silicon carbide. It's perfect.
Perfect. So you just set it down, and then you could literally clean your nail as well, rotate it. You're not going to accidentally drop it because there's a base in your hand.
Yep.
And what's funny is I have like a G nail, a D nail, an E nail over there. I've got every kind of nail you could imagine. I've got gone through titanium and different things. And most people don't realize that you don't want to torch a titanium nail. The idea is to not get it over a certain temperature, and sometimes these torches can, especially the big blue ones and yellow ones that people use the MAP gas, they get over 1100 degrees, and the titanium has a coating, and it has different things as you get into the molecular structure of titanium that it wears off, and it will actually cause problems for your lungs and possibly you later.
Question?
Yeah.
I like to clean mine out with lighter flame. You think that's fine? That's well below the temps?
The lighter flame is 451 degrees. This out here is probably like 500, 600, 700, 800, and then right at the tip of that blue, you're going to get, I think, over temperatures, like especially when you concentrate it, because you have to think that you're concentrating that torch on titanium. Titanium's going to
conducts.
It absorbs the heat, and it continues to absorb it. So if you could keep your e-nail and your screens from being torched, like I have a little tiny torch for this one if I want to clean it, or actually I just drop it in 91% alcohol overnight, and then just pull it out and it's brand new.
I should try that too.
Yeah.
What you're getting from that overheat?
The thing about
titanium dioxide.
What's up?
What you're getting from that, when you overheat it to that red hot, and then the titanium goes light gray, it's titanium dioxide.
Is anyone else hearing Horatio's mic is absolutely terrible?
It is, huh?
It's absolutely the worst mic connection I've ever heard.
Oh,
that's weird. This is a brand new camera.
He sounds like this.
It really. Shit.
I'm gonna try to put my headphones on. Hold on.
There we go. Otherwise, I think we're gonna have to make Horatio type.
No, let's try.
I've been messaging him solid, trying to mic issue.
Now, it's important because, like, you know, everybody has something important to say. It's just we want to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, be right back.
All right, he's coming back. There's 310 people watching. If we get 400 more, we'll have 710 people. So let's go for that. Send out the links, everybody. Let's puff some bazoles.
On that note.
Yeah, what I was talking about with the quartz, and when he comes back, we'll touch on it again.
Yeah.
Is at the end of the day, I like to smoke full melt on quartz.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know what you have right there, and I'll tell you why I like it. And I'm going to relate it to down temping, a down temping method that's used for glass blowing, and how beads of glass can be manipulated into things. And so down temping, what I mean by that is your quartz will get hot, and then it'll cool down. And as it cools down and the temperature is coming down, if you place your patty perfectly on that wall as the temperature is coming down, you won't get a char at all. You won't get a burn at all. That means it's too hot. So I touch just the edge of it just to see how it is. And if you get that just proper, it'll actually make a perfectly clear resiny kind of wall. And that's, like, to me, your best terp hit. It's the best overall hit that I can get, and that's why I use it daily.
I'll tell you. I just hit dry sipped on quartz. I like quartz a lot as well. I love the idea. I love how it looks in my glass. I love how it goes with the mothership very nice, whereas this big sort of metal, scary titanium thing with the silicon carbide nail, it does make me feel a certain way. I kind of wish that it didn't look the way it did, but once I get a drop down, I'll start using it again. Because it also, that's another thing, it dissipates heat completely differently. So much so that it was heating up the joint in my new mothership. And I just, Flav felt it and was like, you shouldn't do that. You should just avoid that at all costs. So I took his advice on that and pulled that nail out.
Can you hear me any better now?
Yes, 100%. Like, unbelievable, dude.
I'm going to finish demonstrating. So this, what I do is I wait on the quartz until I almost can't touch the quartz. So you get as close as you can, and then you're like, okay, it's ready.
That's kind of all I go with. If it's uncomfortably hot, move your finger away, give it a second, put your finger back, check it, see if you can hold your finger there without it burning, and then when it's comfortable to hold your finger real close, that's the go point for me.
Totally spaced Aaron. He's like, where's the link, homie? My bad. Sorry, Aaron. I always forget.
You guys a question.
What's that, Samantha?
I was just going to ask you guys a question. Out of all the electronic nails you can get, which one would you recommend getting? Because it's something that I'd like to get, so I don't have to like use the blowtorch all the time. So out of like the E nail, the D nail, and the I don't know how many other letters there are of them.
I think they all kind of work. You know, I think there's a lot that work, and there's a lot of popular units. What I'm comfortable with, I like the people at D Nail. I've worked with them for about a year. And I just like the way they seem to be a company that is not just obsessed with trying to make the best electric nail, but they're really, really like putting a lot of research and development into these different sort of compounds for hitting off of, whether it's quartz or titanium or silicon carbide or sapphire inserts. I think most people here would agree that no other nail company has really touched on any of that. Whereas D-Nail is really focused on that. So it's kind of like, I like they're almost like bows. If you support them, you would pretty much know that your money is going to go into, instead of like buying them a nice car, into more research and development of what the best hit can be hit off of. So I wish they were here right now. I invited them in today.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm sure they'd hook you up large, too.
Hence, that's why
Nice. Yeah, some of the obviously the issues I have with smoking stuff is not having opposable thumbs. Not all like bongs, lighters, and stuff like that is easy for me to use. And it can be quite hard, like when I first get up in the morning and pain's really intense, to then have to like faff around trying to like light a blowtorch, do all these things, or try and work things that are a bit too complicated for my hands. So I was sort of looking for things a bit more, you know, that are just easy to use, not too fiddly, that kind of.
Yeah, I think that the D-nail's not too fiddly. I mean, one thing you'd really have to do is, I like to be very impatient when I'm done with it, and it's like, okay, I'm going, and I like to pack it all up. You'd probably want to wait on that until everything was really cool. You might also prefer a titanium nail or the silicon carbide, and the reason I say that is the quartz is kind of slippery, and if you don't have opposable thumbs, I could easily see you dropping it, and it breaks. I broke one just the other day. It's a $300 bowl. It does not feel good to break. So the titanium can take a real beating in that sense. You can drop it so many times, it's never going to affect it. I don't know. Silicon carbide is super strong as well, so I don't know what that would take. That's the material that drill bits are made out of, and when you see like the molten gold and molten silver in those crucibles are made of silicon carbide. So it's a very strong, durable substance. Hey, welcome, Aaron. I'm just talking to Samantha about what electric nail she should get. Are you mad at me? Hello, Aaron.
What's up?
We saw your face, and then you disappeared, and now you're back. You looked so serious, I was like, uh-oh. I forgot.
It was going back and forth. It was getting booted off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
What's up, gentlemen?
And ladies.
And ladies. True. Ratio. John. Beardo. Tony. I see Tony there.
And me and Samantha.
And Samantha, what's up, you guys? Happy Chaz trip. Mark, you got a beard.
I do. I better shave it, hey? Look, I'm a young man. I'm an old man. I'm a young man. I'm an old man.
It's the half, bro. It's the half.
So the other day, I'm talking to someone, and he's like, dude, Hash Church is so good, man. Like, I can't believe what great information comes out of Hash Church. And then he follows it up with, like the other day when Aaron was eating that banana. And I'm like, what? What the fuck do you mean? And then, and then he brought up the girl that was sitting with Todd, and the young girl. That girl was so young. I'm like, okay, just a second. So you think Hash Church has great information, but the two things that you got out of it was Aaron eating a banana, and I just couldn't even wrap my head around it.
That was hilarious. Me and Ramon caught that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I wanted to say something too, because I get like you guys were talking earlier about what the feedback is, and I get really good feedback too. I see a lot of younger people that are like looking at the information and trying to comprehend it and understand it, and they're eventually going to apply it, and they're going to outshine even first each generation, you know. So it's going to be interesting what comes out of it. And the other thing is that a lot of people also Facebook me, and I do apologize if I can't get back to them on Facebook. It's the worst means for me to try to communicate. But one thing I want to say is that when you see certain products or things like this, I cannot ship them to you. So that's like my #1 request is people trying to get to the medicine or trying to ask me if they could ship it.
Yep.
It's like an instant, I don't open your email. I don't even open the message if I see the word ship. You know?
Yeah, you're working on it. It's not available right now. I totally hear you, and it's that one thing that I get that message a mazillion times. All the people that don't reply to you, or that you don't reply to, they message me thinking I know the answer. And I do not know the answer. I also can't send it. I have 2 wishes in the future of all of this, that we can send that everywhere, is my first wish. And my second wish is that I can start telling young people different prestigious universities and schools around the world that they can attend to go study cannabis in the whether it's agriculture, whether it's the botany or the science or the whatever. I just want to be able to tell kids where they can go learn that shit because they want to know. I'm telling you.
Yeah, the time we were in Jamaica, and remember there was like a flock group of kids that like came up to our booth at this convention, and at first you and I were like, oh, you know, like what's going on? There's like really young kids here. They were like maybe 8th graders or 7th graders or something.
Yeah, I'd say 13 to 15.
Yeah, 13 to 15, maybe even a few younger. And there was an older woman, kind of like looked like a teacher.
She was the teacher.
And she ends up, walking the kids towards our direction. I'll tell you, the best questions I've ever received about the plant or cannabis or what, or just information that was being spit back, these facts about cannabis, like they were coming out of nowhere, was that group of kids. Yeah. It was like electrifying, you remember?
Oh, I remember, dude, because I held them down for about a half an hour, and then you rolled up, and I literally, like, it was almost as though you climbed the top rope, slapped my hand, I grabbed the camera, and I filmed a bunch of what you're talking about. It's on Bubbleman's World in the Jamaican videos.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy, dude, because you held them down for at least a half an hour. And here's the thing for you guys to understand. The lady, okay, the teacher was more like a preacher or a deacon. Like, she was very, very proper, and like she was worried that the information we were giving wasn't really good information, yet she was standing next to an elder in the Rastafarian music industry, Kidis I, one of the original rockers. And he's sitting there just telling her, no, man, listen, you know, and she's kind of like a little bit like, oh, these are my students. I don't know what these guys are telling them about this, you know, marijuana.
Yeah.
But between the two of us, they were stoked.
The first question they threw at, remember that girl was like, well, what about if you're pregnant? Should you be smoking cannabis while you're pregnant? That was their first question. It was like,
and the answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
I don't know how I answered that.
I think we brought up the woman. What's her name? Ruth or something? Like, Rob introduced me to her one year. She did the test on Jamaican women that were like chronically smoking ganja while they were pregnant, and then they did this like further test into the first potentially, I think it might have been 4 or 5 years of the life of the children, maybe less, maybe more. And what they found was the ability of the child for spatial recognition to put a circle into a circle and a triangle into a triangle was all increased in the kids whose moms had smoked cannabis from the kids whose moms didn't. So that was all she could find, which was pretty incredible in my opinion to find that. Big, huge surprise though, right? You might think, oh, ha, ha, ha. It's like, if they're absorbing, and more likely than from the ganja smoke, I would say that it was much more likely they acquired the Phyto Cannabinoids into the fetus through the ganja tea that they almost guaranteed all drank, because in Jamaica it's a very standard thing for women to drink ganja tea for their menstrual cramps and through uncomfortableness and nausea during pregnancy. So I would not be surprised that those are signalers. So wow, you give these signalers basically the fuel that allows this system to operate, and then you find that that human is advanced. It's like, no, that's not advanced. The other one has been held back. At least that's my opinion.
I'm a massive advocate of women using cannabis, and I don't think women should be afraid to use cannabis when they're pregnant and when they're breastfeeding as well, because breast milk is full of cannabinoids. Like, it's like so rich in cannabinoids. So surely if you're consuming yourself, you know, you're enriching your breast milk even more, you know, for your baby. Like, I think it's awesome, and I will definitely be using it when I have children. Like, I can say that for a fact. Like, definitely.
When my wife was pregnant, she was smoking pure resin heads. dry sift. You know, not all the time, but when she felt she needed it. And I don't, you know, I can't exactly say like, hey, you know, cannabis has made my kids smarter since my wife smoked it, but like,
but she is a damn genius.
Yeah, she's doing calculus, and she's only like 4.5 years old.
Crazy. I mean, imagine how pissed off people would be to find that out, like to find these things out that, like, wow, that's a pretty evil agenda that would try to keep an essential food source, essential to life, and make the most taboo thing you can do with it is, well, give it to children. Oh, right. Yeah, you better not give it to children. Man, in the meantime, think of how many countries they're just feeding kids booze at such a young age. Here, have a sip of my beer. Have a sip of this wine. You should try this.
I think, to be honest, they should go into schools around when kids are sort of 14 to 16-year-old and say, look, do not use alcohol. If you use alcohol, you're going to make a shitload of mistakes and fuck up a lot. All of the things that I've regretted in life have been things I've done when I've been pissed. Like, I've never regretted anything when I've got really high with my mates. Like, never, you know. I think kids would be a lot better off if they all used cannabis rather than alcohol, you know.
Absolutely.
It's binge drinking is a huge problem in, like, this country, you know. It's awful.
It's a huge problem.
I forgot what you said. What did she just say? I forgot. It must have been my cannabis use.
Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see it all change around in our lifetimes. We're lucky in that sense. Oh, I want to thank D420K for the beautiful gift of Sift and the really lovely cannabis extracted into coconut oil. Quite different from my own, but really nice tasting, and it's strong, like he said. Wow. Tell you eat a small little bit of that, and you are lit. Took some last night. I was floating in my bed. It's never a bad thing. Although, here's a question for you, Tony, that I would like to have a small discussion on. What are really the differences? Are we seeing, like, I know a limited amount of information. I'm no expert by any means, and I'm not a chemist or a scientist, but I have a somewhat of an understanding of how some of it works. But are we seeing activated THC being 100% necessary for shrinking tumors and turning cancers off, or is it really like, I mean, I know you're going to say that the most successful thing you can do is to stack and have the variety of all the cannabinoids, but people that might not have that available to them, they're going to want activated THC for things such as tumors, are they not?
Well, here's how I would approach it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough information out there to tell you either way.
Right.
So if you were into trying to utilize THC for tumors, and you wanted to absorb more into your body, if it's activated, it's going to be harder to absorb more of that into your liver and into your body. But if you keep it inactive, that's creating something that has a non-psychotropic effect. You're not going to feel really heavy, and your body can process it a lot faster. So what I would do is do a combination for a combination of it being in its active and its inactive form. So if you wanted to do like a ganja tea or a juice during the day, that would be your THCA. If you wanted to have activated, say you don't have access to things, but you could get activated like an edible, like a really strong edible or any kind of or any kind of activated THC at night. You know? I wouldn't just stick to one. I would cover my bases, basically.
Right.
That's why I say use this. This is what I take. This is THCA. Right? So this is for the daytime. If I activated it, it would still be for the daytime. It would just give me more pain relief, and I'd feel the medicine a lot more.
So for me, I do some decarboxylating and stuff like that. I did some videos on it, and I do activation like with a pressure cooker on the stove, and I've also done it with a deep fryer for cooking. And these are we put into edibles and stuff like that, and you can also consume it. And a good way of dosing and standardizing it is how I've been doing some things.
How have you been standardizing your dose?
Well, basically, when I say I take 200 grams of cannabis and I put it into a pot and I boil it with 4 pounds of butter, so at the end of it, a cup would be 20 grams of basically all of the. It's just the way the extraction is just trying to take a look at it, trying to get the same dose over and over, and then we measure by putting it into a capsule form. And that way, I'm able to, if I take 2, if it works for me, then I'm taking the same dose. And so I would do batches of it in a pressure cooker and just activating that way. So that's what I used to take for my pain. I take them, they're right here. Like I have them around me. It's what works for me, right? This is what helps me for my condition and stuff like that. When I'm
For sure. I guess the standardization thing, though, would be you would actually know how many milligrams of THC and cannabinoids were actually present in there. And I guess
if you have a standardized dose, so I don't know exactly what's in there, but I have a standardized dose. So I'm taking each cap 0.7 of whatever is the standardized cannabinoid profile that could be in it. So
people are also always asking me that. People want to know how they can figure. I mean, I always tell them if you want to have an idea of how much is in there, get the resin off of the herb before you make the extract. So because the herb's non-active, and 200 grams of herb each time can have a different amount of resin on it each time. I've seen it fast, and I mean, you must have seen it, Horatio, in making extracts. Sometimes there's almost twice there. Sometimes there's like a quarter. So it's like these vast differences that can. I think once you just extract that resin, even still, there's going to be differences because the quality of the resin now will determine how strong that edible is. I mean, that must be one of the hard things, Tony, for you guys to standardize and make a specific amount. Because people ask me this, and I don't know how to do it exactly. I just tell them, I put like 4 grams or 8 grams into a cup of coconut oil, and you can divide it and do the math based on how much those are. But
so
you guys...
it's really simple. You have to test along the way. So you take your flowers, you test your flowers, then you get your extract, whatever the extract would be. Then you test the extract. Then you make the actual product. Then you test the product to see what the milligrams are with the milliliters, so whatever that might be. And
so it's the lab.
It's the lab. It's the testing. That's it.
That's key. Well, it would be nice to have access to a lab.
Well, Tony, can you hear me? Just before I speak, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. One of the reasons why I'm like, I see why people all focus on the active version. It's because their extraction method demands heat in order to resolve the final issue. So the whole culture of it's got to be active. I can't even make it safe if it's not active because that's a part of my process. So that's why it seems like no one, even when I think about it, I'm like, think of all those alcohol people. How the hell are they going to make an active version? They're going to have to drink ethanol by the loads. That's the only way the average, and everyone's not with ethanol. They've run out and get a tub of ISO. So they're all trapped in that same bag of heating it to death until a different solution comes out. So that's really the problem with the inactive is you can eat hash. That's really what you've got to do if you want to stay inactive. With teas, it's, we talked about can we get THC into water. That's kind of what the tea is doing at a very low extraction rate, but how do you really solve the issue of other than juicing, which is really how I always thought it was going to work. Okay, well, let's juice it, let's dry it. You can dry things at 35C, just give it time, and you can consume that. But most people can't go there because they're mostly begging for charity material, and when they get it, it's always that bag of roughage that they've got to work with. So they're miles from fresh plant material.
Yeah, starting with the whole plant, fresh plant, grown right, makes a difference along the way for sure. So that was the one thing Colorado taught us as a training ground, if you will, is you have to really produce the best resin and plants you can. Aaron was with us and saw the spot where the greenhouse is going up, and Looks pretty serious. There was like 1,400 lights or something.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was a lot of lights.
in a greenhouse in one of the best places to grow in the world.
Yeah, that's hard to beat. Come on.
It's just one of the greenhouses.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many greenhouses?
It's not really even one. It's not. It's not really one greenhouse though. It's multiple greenhouses. It's here. I'll kind of give you guys a picture of it. I don't know if this will work.
Blueprints?
Yep.
How long is it?
Let me see. I can tell you right now.
Many, many feet.
Yeah,
Were those like strain-specific bay dividers for the greenhouse so that you can section off things like CO2? Like it looked like a long strip, but it looked like many, many, many gates.
It's yeah, it's many bays. It's a multiple bay greenhouse, and yes, you can section it off with curtains and or whatnot. And it's about, I don't know, 6,000 amps for the lights. If that means anything.
Yeah, that's a lot of amps. Because my neighbor had 1,500 amps, and I remember being like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's like a little power station in your backyard.
Yeah.
You know? That's what they got to build for this shit, is a power station for you.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know, like that little trip that we had this past week with Tony and the Foxberry group was like an eye-opener for me because I got to step foot on Native American land, you know, and talk to and meet the president, meet the vice president, you know, of this tribe, and it was honoring and humbling, and being a transplant, a foreigner in this country, even though I was born here. You know, it was a good opportunity for me to say I'm sorry, you know, for the shit that we did to these people, you know, my ancestors, and just, you know, and it was, yeah, I don't know. To me, I mean, I stayed inside where everybody went outside and toured the job site. I stayed inside and talked with the vice president lady, and yeah, I almost had a little tear in my eye, you know, because shit, like, we're the foreigners that just totally just robbed these people.
Oh, yeah, dude. Fuck them up good.
And now we're about to help them and give back to them and with them, you know. Like, one thing that they really want is they want real alcohol rehabilitation, you know.
No
for their
shit.
people. You know, it was like, let's just feed them alcohol, and that's what they did. And
Alcohol got them down for sure, I'll tell you. It's
totally.
it's amazing what was. I mean, it really like almost destroyed them as a people. Even like recently, I saw this crazy. It was a short clip on the actor Don Cheadle, and he was in some like history thing, learning who owned his family when they first came to America, like his great-grandfather and shit. And he found out that it wasn't white people that owned his family, but in fact it was a native tribe of people that owned his family. Which people didn't know that, but the native Indians actually were slave owners in North America, which is pretty heavy. Like, that's how bad we did them in. You know what I mean? Like, damn near decimated them, but actually got them into doing shit that was like bad shit.
Totally.
So we've got some little bit of karma there to to pay, I guess.
Well, that's why I apologize.
White man. As the white man.
As the white man. You know, not even the, you know, I guess I'm white, but I'm like Polish, Russian, American mutt. You know what I'm saying?
A little Polar Russian, eh? I'm a French, Irish, Scottish mutt.
You know, AIDS.
So I have alcoholism in my blood, if you can imagine.
Yeah. In my blood, there's no alcoholism.
Irish, French, and Scottish. There's no alcoholics in those countries, is there?
I'm Dutch and I'm Scottish, so I'm pretty much eating cheese and puffing hard.
John looks like the Dutch king.
That's king.
He's the Dutch king. We're gonna dress him up this next Amsterdam trip. We'll get John all dressed up, and we'll get you the satchel. And we will straight up get an Uber driver. We'll get like 3 Uber cars, and we'll be like, hey, can we put these flags on the front just because we need to have these flags when we roll? Some like Dutch flags. And people will straight up think, we'll film it.
Special.
We'll film it for Bubbleman's World, and it'll be like, you know, Johnny B, the King of Holland.
You got to make some magnets up for the car.
Maybe he could have like a special van, like a dab van, where we like pull over, invite people in, and be like, "Hey, do you want to dab concentrates with the king?"
We only got full milk bubble in here and dry sift.
Yeah, the king doesn't fuck with that BHO.
No, but the king throws orange meditators to the peasants, just like automatically infinity spray from his hands, just spilling meditators.
Making it rain with meditators.
Pretty much.
And I got the perfect orange color, so I mean it's there.
There it is. See, the king's got the orange. The king's got the orange. Tell ya. It's cold as fuck up here on the floor in Whistler, even though outside it's actually quite warm for what it should be. Everything's melting, and it's a very sad day up here with the sled on the back of the truck and the snowboard in the back of the truck.
So what was also cool about the being at the on tribal land with yeah, so they actually grow a bunch of different herbs and medicinal roots and things. So we're going to create products with their already. They have a whole book and things that they grow for certain purposes. So we're going to create different products based around their culture and the things that they grow too, and try to help them grow more of those things.
Yeah, see, as I'm sitting here, I get a message from Bahrain, which is in the Middle East, and I have some friends that are living there. And my friend's wife is sick. She's passing away of cancer, and he's literally asking me, where can I get medicine? Now it's like, how the hell do you answer your friend in Bahrain, the Middle East, which is seriously, now that's a seriously fucking heavy-duty place to try and get sorted out with meds. You think the UK is bad. Let me tell you, this place is bad. So that's just terrible. I hate messages like that.
Do you have any, can you get sorted there though?
What's that?
Can you get sorted there or no?
I have no idea how I would get them sorted there. You know, I mean, I don't want to put myself in this situation where I'm shipping illegals all over the world, and I like sharing the information, but it seems like the information is almost useless if you can't help the person. It's like, what do you tell someone? I mean, in America, it's fine, because I just tell people, listen, I don't care how bad off you are, figure out a way to get something ordered from a dispensary, even if you need to send a friend or you need to go. I mean, we were in here the other day, and the guy from Pittsburgh was like, I'm all in pain, and we were like, dude, well, we'll figure something out. And the dude, Matt was in the chat room, and he's like, I'll fucking hook you up, bro. I'm like in Boston. I've got a license to grow. We've got dispensaries, you know. And he's like, oh, Boston's so far away. I don't have a car. The guy's like, dude, jump on the train. You could be here in 4 hours. We could be puffing bowls in 4 hours. So in the U.S., I know that it seems impossible, but I'm telling you, the places that are really impossible are like Iraq and Bahrain and Dubai and Malaysia. Like those places, you cannot. You have to be very, very careful. They still do not play around when it comes to these this plant. Take that shit serious. So I don't know what to say to her. I really don't. I want to help her, but I don't know how to help her. I don't know people there. Do I? Is there anyone watching from?
Bahrain. I did want to, Tony, I mean, one of the ideas I thought, because you come across a lot of people who want to help somebody who refuses, I don't want to get high, and they don't want anything to do with that side, and you go, well, I know the inactive portions, how many people could just grow the veg plant that doesn't stink as a giveaway, and then just consume vegetative matter rather than actually try to flower out the plants and put themselves at the traditional risk? How many people could develop a culture of just developing small bushels of vegetative matter, like lettuce, to eat? How many benefits could they get when it comes to the more life-threatening disorders?
Microgreens? Cannabis?
Pretty much cannabis microgreens as a way to subvert the system.
You just start seeds. You just, I mean, that'd be a good one.
Well,
start from seed. And you just never go through it.
So, yeah, we were talking and working on that for a while. I think if you look at the raw version of the plant, you're seeing it has, when people say, okay, look at hemp, it has all the essentials, fatty acids, it's a superfood, especially like a hemp tofu superfood, and even high in protein. So if you look at cannabis in that state of it being in its raw state, in the vegetative state, you have to consume a lot of it in the juicing world. Just like if you had to juice kale or make a beverage that was big, you'd want to consume a lot of it to have its super healthy dose of prevention and say, fighting tumors or cancer. If you can get it into a concentrated form, taking the whole plant and putting it into a concentrated form and doing that so it never activates, however you do that, then you put that into concentrated doses or fine-tune kind of the delivery of it, right? So the reason why you would go to a concentrate or something like that I've been using is to capture, say, essentially like a glass of juice, a glass of cannabis. Maybe it was this high of cannabis juice, or I take 3 drops of this. You follow me? So there's a ton of dimensions of THCA and those food sources that would also, you would also have CBDA, CBGA, these other 70 to 80 different cannabinoids in there. So it's not just THC. When I say THCA, that's really all of the cannabinoids in its raw form. But since we focus on THC and CBD so much, it just kind of makes it easier for people to think of it that way.
Yeah, no, it's just I'm always trying to come up with semi-bastard but working solutions for people who are watching. It's the thing where I'm like, well, I know you can't, if it's that illegal to grow cannabis, how the hell could you produce the amount of vegetative matter? But I'm like, you can do a lot with aeroponics on a 30-day system, on a 30-day system, because with those systems that grow lots of vegetative matter, usually later on in the flower, the plant goes to hell for one or another reason because of the method. But if it was about a race to produce plant material, you can get yourself, you could say that half cup or to a cup of juice per day in a closet scenario that doesn't need the same ventilation system. So I'm just trying to get people's minds churning.
This should give you a daily dose real quick. If you could take 5 leaves in the videos that I put out there, just 5 leaves, and say maybe 10 leaves, but 5 to 10 leaves that if you just cold press juice, and you took that as your daily dose, that's good. That's what I recommend to people. So it's not that hard. I think you could, even in a regular room, as a grower at home, you should be able to pull off 5 of those. Now, if you just did half of that and you freeze it and you cut them in ice cubes and you just do half of that every other day or even every day, you could use that to spread it as long as you're getting little bits of it. I tell some patients that it's only $2 to $3. That's what we sell 2 ounces for. and they'll chop it into 4 little cubes because it's frozen, and then they use them like every other day, so that even $3 worth of juice is kind of still getting into the pinging the system, if you will.
Yeah, no, totally. That's kind of why I'm like, you get one seed and you just start cloning the shit out of it in a 32-bay cloner, and even in something that small, you could get that production after 30 days to where you're plucking 1 plant per day on a cycle and growing it upwards. So there's a lot of solutions that don't stink, don't bring, even if you just prune the plant so it doesn't take the shape of cannabis while you're growing it outdoors, for those quick vegetative cycles of 1 month, 2 months, a lot of people could help people without the BS of, oh, I need ISO to extract it, and oh, I need flowers. There's other medicines that people who are in situations where producing flowers is not worth getting your head chopped off, but because there's no because they actually don't see the vegetative plant that much, no one can detect it, but they can detect flowers really easily. So for people in Bahrain, if you can get 1 seed, you can clone your way to a 30-day program pretty fast, is what I figured.
Yeah, but man, I'll tell you, in Bahrain and places like that, even those plants as seedlings could probably get you, like, hung.
Yeah.
Do you know what I wonder? Quick question. When we're juicing plants, what are the thoughts on the feed that is being given if it's in vegetative state and it's not been flushed? We're juicing the leaves and consuming them. How does everyone feel that should be dealt with as to what the plant should be?
I wouldn't. That's why with our plants that we put in 40-gallon soil, we just we don't use anything but microbials and some teas, and just use water, and just you keep that as low as you can, and the plants get really big, and those are the leaves that we strip off of. So there's usually, we blanch them, soak them in water, and then juice them. There's nothing in there that's, that's why I only juice that way. That's why I like the plants growing so much.
Yeah, like I could see the plants just growing off a basic liquid seaweed tea, and that would be the only nutrient you could get by on, and I don't think anyone has a problem with, obviously we don't flush lettuce and we don't flush our vegetable matter, so it's really just a matter of what you put into it. So if you went as simple as just liquid seaweed, you could be pretty confident in what you're using.
Well, it might be time for us to load a bowl.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, I know who I didn't send the link to that I probably should have. Not that I have any idea where in the world he is, but Rob Clark wanted me to send him the link again.
Where's the great gardener?
Oh, the great gardener, he had a good one today. What was his one today? It was pretty legitimate. Oh yeah, look, he's even sending me a... Look at that. He's there. He's like, where's the link, man? Sweet. He's in Thailand right now. Great Gardener is not in Thailand, though. That's Rob. Great Gardener is... Let me just do a real quick check on that. How can I have this many messages open up? It's ridiculous.
Ah! What are you doing, you guys?
Oh, it's their last week to clean the house. That's what it is. But I did just invite Rob, Mr. Rob. I wanted to talk with Rob a little bit about the history of hashish. I thought that would be sort of a neat little topic to go over, because, it seems as though way back in the day these guys had it. They were on point. They were doing what the plant was grown for, which was hashish. And then somehow from then till, the time we're in now, things got so made illegal that even hash was more of a rare thing, and so much to the point where people who knew about cannabis didn't really know what hash even was.
I was just holding up the new book that I just purchased because I can't find mine. It's still wrapped in the package. So
Second edition. Lovely.
Picked it up from your store, thanks. Yeah, so when Rob comes on, I'll open it. I just haven't opened it yet, so that's cool.
Oh, that's perfect, Johnny B. That's perfect.
I like that.
Got his hashish book. I was very honored to... oh, Samantha's got hers as well. Let's see. Hold yours up a bit. Hold the cover up. I want to see the whole thing. You can only see, yeah, lift it. Okay, so that's...
Ours is a bit of an old one. It's very well used.
Yes, Samantha's is an edition 1. So if you hold yours up and John holds his up, you can see what the differences are. And the differences are around the rim of John's, there's trichome heads, which is a photo I gave Rob to use. And then also the piece in the corner of the fingers holding up the round piece of hash on John's, that's me holding up a piece of Renee hash. The book you have was literally the one I remember looking at and going, I want to be a part of this book one day. And so when he did his edition 2 and asked me for those photos, I was definitely honored to have photos representing in that book. Good shit. Why not? Oh yeah, okay, shit. Here we go. Pete Robbins is coming in to visit us. I sent the link to Soma as well today, and I thought I sent it to Jim. I thought I sent it to Jim. There it is. We'll send it to him. Jim Frere, I'm trying to get him in here. He's having trouble with his computer, trying to get onto Google+, and I think that's also David's problem. We had Dr. David come in last week, but he was unable to speak. So we didn't really get to hear anything from him. I always sort of appreciate his perspective on things. I always sort of open my mind. Ethnobotany, cannabis evolution and ethnobotany, very nice, very nice. Rob and Mark's 7-year project, or maybe even an 8-year project. If you can imagine, that book's been in the works a long time. All right, welcome, Pete.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing real good, man. I'm doing real good. I'm just waiting on Rob Clark to show up.
Represent.
We got one more. We got one more spot, so we better get him in here.
I'll do more than represent, brother. I got some Cantaloupe Kush I'm loving right now.
Oh, right on.
Cantaloupe Kush, eh?
Yeah, it's fucking banging too, man.
Well, that's always
You shut the pasta off before you overcook it.
probably a good idea.
Babe, I'm on Hash Church. Grab the pasta. Later.
Just don't eat a banana on Hash Church, I found out.
No bananas today, bro.
No bananas on Hash Church.
Thought that, though.
The wrong way.
I think it was okay that you were eating a banana. I think that people were a little shocked when you started deep-throating it. That was just
Dude,
a little bit.
I didn't even deep throat it, bro. I just ate it.
I'm just joking. True got a kick out of it. He's jiggling. He's laughing. Oh yeah, I said we were going to have a rip, but I never did. Best do that. Another little NYCD rip. It's so orangey and delicious.
How you doing, brother?
I think I'm gonna hit the same NYC diesel there. Okay.
Shout out to everybody who's doing the Hash Church tag on Instagram. I seem to get them during the show, and it's pictures of us on Hash Church smoking while they're smoking, and I like when it's somebody smoking with the screen showing. So everybody
I like that
loves it.
I love that too. I go around looking for them and taking all the pictures. Awesome to see those.
I have to admit, I've seen a few of those as well, and I've laughed. I thought, fun, you know, that's fun. You forget there's 366 people hanging out and puffing bowls with us right now. That's pretty damn cool. Nice dab there, Aaron. Aaron's all dabbed up. Johnny B's loading up. He's
Smoking. I'm still smoking this kosher Kush 73 from Practicum Heavy Extraction from Greenwood.
Listen to that Ruhr chug. Just taking full control of the audio situation here with Ruhr rips. Ruhr rips. All right.
That's lovely NY diesel from D420K. Thanks, dude. That was tasty. Not even a cough, nothing. Smooth. That's what we're looking for. Clean, dry, sift, grown right, tasty. Thumbs up.
Yeah, it's delicious. Absolutely delicious. I sent him the link today. I thought we might see him in. But who knows? It is early, this hash church of ours. It is early. I showed up here at my friend's house today and basically woke, well, I don't know if I woke everyone up, but I haven't really seen anyone. I can hear them stirring.
You in Whistler?
Yeah, I'm in Whistler, absolutely.
Say what's up to the homie for me.
I will when I see him. I haven't seen him yet.
Nice footage out there, huh? I love that. That snowmobiling footage you had out there in Whistler is fucking awesome, bro.
Hell yeah, dude. It was the stuff from the trip with Aaron and Matt?
Yeah, and Flav, and yeah, man. Matt. That must have been a blast. I was so envious.
It was definitely, you know, something that should be done again. I'll tell you that much. It was.
Well, Dawn's wife and my wife started talking.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you don't even know. Their heads were like, oh, maybe we should both move to Canada. I'm like,
no!
What the fuck is going on now, dude?
What the fuck is going on? Well, you know what? Really, it doesn't matter where you live because you travel so much.
That's the issue. It's like where we're traveling, you know. And right now, it's like, yeah, we're still doing world things, but it seems like the United States, we're going to be doing a lot of traveling in the next 6 months, you know. Yeah. I don't know. At least that's what my agent tells me.
Nice. Well, that's good. Nothing wrong with a little traveling.
Maybe if he got off his phone, he could talk about that. Where am I going to be traveling to?
Dude, the world is so malleable right now. It's like everything's like ever changing. It's just like, oh, it's like it's spinning and spinning and spinning, but it hasn't stopped spinning yet.
No, I know.
It's like musical country chairs.
There's more states like actively just talking about it right now, and just
of course, dude. The states aren't completely, they understand that it's got to happen, and the ones that are missing the boat right now, must be gaining something by missing the boat, because those guys don't miss the boat.
No, they don't. I mean, but it's like, yeah, the future just to be in this bubble, you know, like. It's a synchro. You were in it at the right time, right place, right year, and now here we are, and like big business is mixing with the hippies of the world, you know, and yeah, where it's going to take us, like, yeah, no, we're going to be the biggest. Cannabis is going to be the biggest business in the world here.
Oh yeah. Cannabis is the new gold. You don't have to dig it from the earth, you can grow it from the ground. That's what's happening there.
The commodity is gold.
Oh shit, we're gonna get a guitar song from Michael.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing some hymns here in the near future. Hash hymn 319, Jacob, Elijah, and Joseph.
Got to keep these fingers fresh. Got a show tonight.
Oh, nice. See,
Come on.
we get preview to the show or what?
Yeah.
Well, I just unmuted myself to say cheers to the previous statement about where we're going with cannabis. I was muting myself for the practice, though. I won't bother you guys too much with the playing.
We need good music to go along with good cannabis.
Absolutely, brother.
Probably can't even hear it.
I think we all hear it.
I saw a funny thing about Trey. I think it was in The Onion, saying Trey was going to have his middle finger amputated for the Dead shows.
Are you going to that show?
Yeah, because I go to the States so much.
Oh, what's you for that one show?
It's 3 shows.
Did all 3, bro.
Yeah, you guys send up the plane. I'll get on it.
Float. We can just pull behind. We can pull you behind the boat.
Yeah, you can pull me behind the boat, no problem. Little Hash Church tunage. Digging it. Can't play anything else in here. It'll shut me down on YouTube. People messaging me, obviously. See if there's any other freshies that I'm missing out on the Hash Church experience. I do really want to figure out the differences in almost in a way to measure what's happening off of these different heat sources that we're dabbing off of. And
I don't know, but whatever I just burned that hash at, it must have been the perfect temperature because I'm high as hell.
nice. That was like the I'm hot as hell dab hit music.
Yeah, I was about ready to say something, and I got caught up in the tune.
Well, I guess it's time for some OG Kush.
Talking about before. Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, it looks pretty decent. It's got to be pretty nice to look decent over a shitty webcam camera, too.
Is it bad? The quality?
No, well, webcams generally are bad, yes. They don't ever show the quality. But that looked pretty decent.
Nice.
Welcome, Mike. Mike's making hash. He's got his hash making clothes on. What are you doing, Tony? Just eating or preparing hash? I can never tell.
Tony's eating.
I'm eating great.
Oh, nice. The Hash Church loop.
Yeah, I bounced about 50 on that, so I'll probably press it tomorrow using that new technique with the parchment paper. I like that.
What's that?
Rubbing the parchment paper over the business card. I want to try that technique. I did some dry sift with that Canada Kush.
Very nice.
Yeah, oh nice. I pressed some kosher Kush last week. That shit was nice, real nice. Kosher's one of my favorites. Always has been.
Yeah, I just puffed a little bit with Remo recently. I guess I think I have to mute your mic, Michael. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's creating a bit of a back thing. There we go. It was nice, though. Thank you for sharing the music. I do appreciate it. Yeah, I was with Remo, and he had 6 different kinds of bud. He had like a headband Kush and an OG Kush and a kosher Kush. But then he had like Astro Boy and Girl Scout cookies, which wasn't really a Girl Scout cookies that I recognized, and Sweet Skunk, which was 100% a Sweet Skunk that I recognized. So it was nice to hit all those flavors. The kosher definitely had a nice strong kick to it.
Yeah, I like the kosher Kush the best out of that. That headband was really tasty. I think it went back to kosher at the end. It was really nice stuff.
Were the buds that you hit, were they pure LED grow? Like, I think he said it, but I never saw it in any of his videos. But he said
somewhere, yeah, yeah.
How was it?
It was fine, honestly. I mean, you never would have really known the difference. I mean, it definitely wasn't like way better.
It was the watermelon.
But it wasn't way worse. It was just like watermelon. After a while, I was smelling the smell. I was like, okay, I could recognize, oh, that's the Astro Boy. I could see the bud. It looks different from the Kushes. And yeah, I thought that it was just, you know, just fine. I would have never said that it was, you know, I thought personally that the Astro Boy that I grew was much nicer. But it was like, I don't think he really had the same respect for it in the sense that it was all kind of squished up and in a bag, and my shit never even went into a bag. Like, my shit never even got dried.
Well, that's what I figured. I'm like, if it starts as the same, then there's room for tons of improvement. There's room for everything each grower could do. There's room for supplemental light. But to start at a base of 400 watts sounds really good to improve off of.
Well, I just did a side-by-side comparison video, basically, like plant to plant, right from triclone to triclone, looking at the size of the bud side by side, everything to now drying it, and then actually what Mark said, looking at actually separating it and taking a good look at the weight and seeing what we get for gland heads and stuff like that. But I mean, it's definitely I'm going to say the LED spectrum light. It's doing great. It really grew some really nice resin. I'm really, really happy with it. I can't not complain at all.
Okay, so I guess the last question is how much 70 micron yield it gives. That's the last real test.
It's separated. It's really just taking a look at what we're getting from it now and seeing if there's a difference even in the final product, and then testing it hopefully on the ceramic nail and the new quartz nail and all the nails that Mark has and stuff like that, and really just going right down to the bare end and taking a look. I want you to be there too. You should come over and we should all just try it. And, you know, we'll do a little video on it and it's all organic. It's got a 30-some-odd day flush, and it's now it's time to really is smoking it, the smoke test, and really seeing what it's going to be like. I'm excited.
No, it sounds good. I mean, really, the same is a really good result versus having to make, you know, weird, you know how it always seems to come with a spin. But if the same is the base point, and well, it sounds like more passion could even be put into the watermelon, then that sounds like a really good review for me.
For me, it was just testing the 6 different strains, the 6 most popular strains that I like. So you get 6 completely different strains, and now I can see how it grows with all 6 different strains. And really, by far, I can see how it's developing with like the Barber Bud, the MLP, and the Medi Kush is just really developing very well and stuff like that. Whereas the Congolese, it's interesting. It's just getting more into it, right? So now go for yield. Now we'll take a look at just doing 2 different strains and seeing what it can do yield-wise. Go from there, because it's really testing that needs to be done, because I'm seeing healthier resin, healthier plants. It's easier on my eyes. It's less heat. It's a win-win situation when it comes to doing anything. And with the sativas, you're definitely going to save a lot of money and power, and you're getting that true spectrum light. I mean, I'm happy with it. That's it.
Yeah, it took me a couple years of actually prototyping different LEDs. I started when I was working in a hydro store, trying with just a couple of the cheap ones that were available. But you know, what I've noticed is, you know, the LEDs work great if you have them designated for one specific site. You know, there's spectrums that have been developed for specifically producing fruiting, you know, the fruiting vegetable parts of plants, and spectrums that have been specifically developed for the vegetative part of the plant matter. So yeah, I always found that when I was doing my side-by-sides, they ended up turning out comparably, but the energy draw that we were using on the LED sides was a half to a third of what we were
getting out there, going to work.
Yeah.
So, you know, I ended up making the switch about a year ago. We're running about 12 LED in the same footprint, or 12 LEDs in 3 times the footprint, pulling the same power that we were running off of 4 HIDs in the same room. So we essentially threefolded our footprint, and per light ended up keeping about the same weight. So it's definitely interesting now. I mean, when I look at LEDs, there's a couple different things. You still have to change the bulbs, after 3 or 4 years. But if you get the bulbs that have modular diodes, then you don't have to actually replace the entire light when one section of it goes down. Other than that, there's a bunch of different ways that you can customize the spectrum, as well as actually pairing LEDs with either greenhouses or HID rooms. Because if you look at the spectrums that are produced, there's a reason why we use blue spectrum or red spectrum. We're going to be able to fine-tune the LED spectrums for each individual week, because a plant that's going through its transition and stretch is going to need a different spectrum than a plant that's starting to crown or harden off. So
that's exactly what that's what I'm seeing, because I had the 6 different strains and how it developed with the 6 different strains. Very interesting how you say that. So it would be the spectrum for each different strain, which would be more dialing in. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, just personally, I see a difference, right? So I mean, it's nice to see, but the technology we're going to be seeing is just going to be so much more advanced. And each individual strain will have its own spectrum, of course, right? Maybe.
Yeah, well, they if you look at the way that they're, a lot of these LED companies, they're not really, they're selling a couple lights to each buyer in the greenhouse company. There's a few licensed producers that are buying big orders from them. The majority of them, one of the largest LED manufacturers that I talked to when I was talking to them at the Greenhouse Expo, they were there with one of their big suppliers, and a lot of the people that are doing it are growing, hydroponic tomatoes that go into Safeway stores, or hydroponic lettuce that are going into, and that stuff, there's enough of a turnaround that you can have acres of greenhouses growing either lettuce or tomatoes, with supplementing LEDs, and then being able to have that supplemental LED catch up to what the sunlight is lacking in the fall or winter. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I have a feeling that you can design LEDs for different parts of the grow room. The LED that you're going to want hanging at the very top of your canopy is going to be different than the LED you want hanging between the plants, casting out sideways. And then if you're designing a room growing bay style greenhouses versus a room that has tabletop canopies and buds, you're probably going to want different LEDs for that as well. So, but it's nice that what I've found is my favorite part about them is the more points of light that you have hitting the plant from, the more different angles that you can actually hit the plant. When you're having to isolate yourself with one individual light source that has to refract off everything else to hit the plants, the LEDs cause a lot more even of a growth within the bonsai plants that we're doing.
Very cool, very cool. How long you been playing around with that for, Mike?
I got my first LED to mess around with in 2008, but the company we're working with now, we've been working with for about 3 years. And we actually work with 2 companies. One that supplies our veg lights, and they run a 1 watt, fairly cheap LED setup. And then the one we run in our flowers are 3 and 5 watt modules. And those we've been using for about 2 years. So, and there's a bunch of different pros and cons with whatever light setup you can do. I think the best setup is going to be pairing lights with greenhouses or HIDs. But
I look forward to that day, I'll tell you.
That's exciting. Because they work.
Are you guys using those LED light that I saw that you had, Mark?
Yeah, I got the Spectrum King is the one that I'm using.
That big one that looks like the stadium lighting.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's working well. I'm happy with the results. It was just something I wanted to test, and it came out very well. I'm very happy with it. Right, so I mean, I'm surprised. I've worked in the hydro store now since 2009, and I've tested and before that, I've tested so many LED lights over the years, and nothing's ever worked like this one. So.
And which one, and Mike, which one are you talking about? Which ones are you guys using?
So we have a couple of different models of the Hydro Grow ones, and then we have 2 different models of the Max Grows. So the Max Grows are about $600 a piece. They're pretty cheap. They work awesome for our clones. And then our Hydro Grows we use in our flower room, and those are more of the purple spectrum. Those actually have dials, but we found those work the best paired with a couple of HID.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'm just using them, so.
Well, I wish it was colder. I'm not gonna lie. I wish it were colder. Shit's
for me, because I don't have any stuff.
Why, is it raining up there, Mark?
Yeah, it's like it's raining in Whistler, and it's like melting, and this freezing levels at like 6,500 feet, which is like the top of the mountain.
Sounds like a fun chair ride.
Oh man, there's a gondola that'll take you up, but
No, hey, but not when you get back down part of the way.
no, then you're on the chairs. Yeah, you could make it so you could ride, but I mean, who's even? Are you gonna go ride today, dude, in the plus weather? Yeah, you're gonna go up.
Yesterday was day 5 of not going up.
Really? So you just got to break the chain. Rain, rain, and more rain. It's depressing. I'm not gonna lie. What do you got there, Mike? KwaZulu?
KwaZulu, it's a South African thing. We actually had a patient putting in the process.
Boom, sugar. All right, I think I fixed that. Took a few seconds. Is that the CO2 extract? Do you find that it's often a similar color, or that do you get a wide range?
It all depends on the terpene content. CO2 is fairly non-polar, so we don't pull a lot of waxes. That's why we generally get a lot less yield. But depending on the pressure, you can either pull more lipids, waxes. If you boost the temperature up and hit the melting point of the paraffins, you can pull the waxes off. But we can produce anything from a kind of a sugar wax, which is fairly light in color, all the way down to a sap or a shatter, which is only going to be the color of the terpenes.
Right.
So.
Awesome. I'm holding that. Tea. Nice. Damn, what are you hitting there? Some crazy recycler? Be a fucking science experiment. Yeah. Just and the full-size torch too. That's just fucking awesome.
We used to make creme brulee.
Creme brulee, man. No, I've got an actual creme brulee torch right here. Check this shit out.
Yeah, I do too.
This is literally sold as a creme brulee.
I left my good one in Dam.
You left your good one where?
Dam.
Oh, damn.
Gave it to him, mate. He was torchless, Had him put up.
You look like you're taking a nap, Tony. Napping out? Yeah.
My hitman over here.
I'm watching it like a television show.
Need a shop mark.
I've just been watching it for like 20 minutes as if it was just a show, and every time someone talks, a new screen pops up. Pretty interesting.
I was talking to Hitman the other day, Dougie, and we decided that I think we're going, I'm pretty sure actually, about 99%, that we're going to do some sort of a collaboration. We're going to come up with a really cool fucking Bubbleman Hitman collab.
Oh, I'll definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm kind of stoked to
I
figure
love
something
it.
out.
This thing's awesome.
I'll tell you what I'm really, really impressed with right now is the rumble of the Fab Egg and how much it rips.
Man, I've watched everything you've done on that, and I can't wait that we meet and we smoke on that together, because that rig looks fucking beautiful, bro. Nice.
Yeah, it's got 4 points where the two bottom and the top halves are connected, and those 4 points pull the water up from the bottom, and they do it so evenly.
Oh, it's so good, dude. I would love to puff on that, man.
It's unbelievable how evenly this pipe fits, and of course it's hollow, right? Like the whole inside of it is just a hollow dome of an egg.
Yeah, I like that, so you can see right through it. I mean, don't get me wrong,
I'm telling you, that piece right there is going to be somehow I don't want to just jack the egg concept, but I love the hollow wall idea with the Swiss perk style for the most amazing perk. Just can't believe how good this thing hits.
It's balanced. Like in the chug, it's balanced. It like comes up from all around, so it's not. It gets that real deep chug. When you said in one of your videos, you could feel it actually on the table, like chug. You know, that deep. Glug 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 glug. I like that too, man. That's awesome.
It wants to take off.
It's really like heavy too. When I took a hit off of his that time over at Barney's Uptown, that was a really nice rig, man. It's got that. It looks like it's crystal. It's blown like it looks like crystal, which I think is cool.
Yeah, which one? The Fab Egg?
Well, no, True has a rig, right? And it looks like you've probably seen his, and it looks like crystal. Yeah, it looks like it's blown like crystal, but it's not. It's real heavy glass. It's nice.
Oh yeah, I think I've hit that before.
Yeah, that one's real nice, bro. I like that one a lot too, man. I got highly educated titanium from Greg's shop, the Damkrin Gallery, as do most of us, yeah. And it's so good, man. It's fantastic. The carb caps, everything, highly educated, dab tools. Got my little altar over here.
There's a lot of good stuff out there. There's no doubt about it. I'm stoked on some tea in Hash Church. How's that for a glass?
That's nice. I'm surrounded by some art. I got my Redbeard perk here. Then it got a little broken there because I put the sublimator on there. So that was not a very good move.
You got sublimated?
It's still okay. I can still use it. You know what? Like I'm pretty much good to go. So then of course I got a nice roar. And I got this Bada Bing. I got some nice glass here. I got some. It's nice to have gifts.
I see you got some nice glasses in your shelf up there too.
Yeah, I got a couple of those are my cups from TY 2011 2012. Figured they should put them on the they just kind of put them on the shelf behind me. Or of course Medikush.
I've got all my cups behind me too.
I don't got any.
Not behind you, no.
No.
Yours, you got what? How many? About 50?
How about one?
Yeah, luggage full.
You got so many, man. It was really nice looking at all the cups that you've won all over the world for all the good genetics that you guys have.
You know what's funny is we're trying to put it together of all the wins, the genetics, and there's still a shitload that we can't remember.
Yeah.
Like, people call us up and, like, because there's people that enter, you know, there's people enter stuff all over in every different contest, and then they let you know. So it's like your kids are winning, but it's hard to keep up. You know? So, I don't exactly remember what number we got to, but I know we're short a few.
Short of.
That.
And just 4 cups, won 3 times was about medicine, and good enough. I'm happy.
Come on, man. I got it on a delay. I have it set that way on purpose.
Nice.
Are you drinking like a Betty Page cup?
Representing Canada here and drinking some maple syrup.
Sure.
Maple syrup. I need a cup.
Oh, some of my pancake.
Yeah. Maple syrup representing Canada.
I'm puffing.
Listen, we don't fuck around up here with our maple syrup. In fact, there was recently a multi-million-dollar maple syrup heist happened in Quebec City. Google that shit if you don't believe me. Maple syrup heist. True story.
Like truckloads of maple syrup. We're not even talking like small bits of maple syrup.
No,
Those
like
dudes,
55-gallon barrels. Big cedar barrels full of maple syrup. Yeah, all the kids are smoking maple syrup these days. You can like dry it out and dip it, and you like do a hexane wash. Then you wash it through like charcoal and filter it with like a special keyboard dust fucking off stuff. And then you use like the Zippo lighter. Light it up. Toot. Yeah, that's just silly, I know. Just being silly. This damn egg, I'm blazed up.
I'm like 9 hours ahead of you. So I've had so much more smoke sessions than you have today. Amsterdam hours, same thing, you know what I mean? Same hours.
So you think?
Dude, I've been up since 6. Are you crazy?
No, come on now.
I think I caught up to you by 8 a.m.
No, I got you by a long time ago. I smoke hard too.
Listen, man. Nobody's got me, man.
I've got 10 empty containers around me.
You by a little bit.
Yeah, for
I got
sure.
9 hours on your ass. Come on, man.
A lot of hours, for sure. And I haven't really been puffing that tough, I'll admit. I should probably have another bowl right now.
I'm kind of bummed I missed you in Amsterdam, man. It's a good thing, though. I didn't have a booth set up for Grateful Seeds this year. I would have been a little bit bummed out with all the money I would have had to spend. But
yeah, they pretty much changed. Oh! That was a brutal move.
Bad things happen for reservations.
You know what? Only on the carpet, though. That's not bad. It spilled my tea, man. Spilled my tea!
Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
Wow.
As long as it stays on my computer, I'm happy. Got a little
rug. Stay off the white rug.
Yeah, I think we're safe. I think we're safe. If my computer just glitches out and I disappear, then I guess I did get a tiny bit of tea in my computer, but I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I can hear you, all right?
Cheers. More tea to spill. I can't believe I just knocked that shit over. Like, you guys missed it, man. I spilt my tea. But this is Whistler, so literally, they have more tea. Did it hurt your soul, Samantha, when you heard that my tea spilt, being from Britain and all?
Yeah, it did. It maybe shed a little tear, but.
A little tear. What about you, True? Did you shed a tear for my tea? He's got his tea. Thanks, bro.
I'm going to go check on my dinner, guys. I'll be right back. 2 minutes.
Go get some pasta.
I'll just put that right there. Come to my friend's place and trash the whole place, throwing tea around like a...
It ain't my carpet.
The infamous renter. It ain't my carpet. Should I take them on a tour of your carpet? Damn, spilt my tea. I'm just reading about the comments for me spilling my tea. Do 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 do. Gonna freeze up. Oh yeah. Especially Tetlet. Tetlet? Is that the popular British tea these days? Tetlet?
Tetley.
Ah, Tetley. He wrote
I'm
Tetlet.
not a tips man myself.
I know Tetley. It's not your house too. It's true. Not my house. Well, maybe a quick little rip. Won't hurt anyone. Sure love the flavor on this NYCD, man. Holy smokesies.
It is so tasty. Like, you guys, it's up there when we were talking about. It's like it's with the Tangy, Aaron. It's really really nice. It's definitely something worth getting your. I'm trying to get my hands on it, and apparently the mom's being flipped. They're in flower, and now we're gonna see if we can maybe revert it back and get that Pacific strain back.
Yeah, it's tasty. It's tasty. Tasty delicious.
Apparently it yields like shit, but it makes some great resin. I don't care about the yield. I just like the resin.
Yeah, I'm definitely not worried about the yield.
The NYC diesel that I'm used to from Amsterdam has always been more of like a grapefruit.
Yeah, no, this
is the 2003
seeds from Soames.
Yeah, like the first one that he came out with, really more like Calio and more like that, whatever that Valencine or D-limonene or combination of orange terpenes to create this really. I mean, I smoked about 5 rips of it through my clean fab egg the other day, and then I cleaned it. It stunk so bad like oranges, it was amazing. And then I cleaned it, and the ISO, as I was pouring it out, I could smell that it was completely saturated in orange flavor as well. Like I thought, wow, like it made ISO almost not a bad experience to catch a whiff of. It was just literally like orange ISO.
Cool.
So, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that diesel is like I mean, for me it was really a very stinky strain to grow, and then smoking it tasted great, and the room smell was great, but it never really got me too high.
No, it never did for me either. It was not like it was. I find a lot of the orange strains to be like that. I don't find them to be like overwhelmingly strong.
I was just going to comment on that, how they're more uplifting, and that's why I like them in the mornings, because they give me more of a pick-me-up. It's above the eyes type high, and I've talked about that with the ratio 2 and those different terpenes that affect me in that one of those different ways, right? Back to the terpenes again.
Back to the terpenes.
All right, Mike's changing runs, so that's his CO2 machine in the background. You guys can see. And he's basically, I guess, going to pull out his container and run, figure out his next batch. This is where he pumps out the CO2 oil.
Yeah, it'd be nice to take a closer look at that.
Where is he? Is he in Canada?
No, he's in Washington, Green Lion Farms. You can see his banner up there. He's they sell wholesale to many dispensaries across the state.
Okay.
And so he's got this machine, and he's a smart dude. He's got good information and knowledge, and seems to be doing well with it. So
Nice.
he's one of the only people I really know that actually has a CO2 machine and is actively working with it. And as you, he's definitely working with it.
Yeah, well, there's a surplus of weed, I hear, in Washington.
I bet.
Surplus.
A surplus, like the prices were high at one point, really high, and now everybody grew it, and harvest season came, and yeah, lots of people can't get rid of their flowers.
Like in Switzerland in 2001.
Can't get rid of your flowers.
I can't tell you how many barns I saw just full of rotting plants. Walk in and smell this super intense, like, first of all, it was ridiculous because they had like 3 barns worth of weed in one barn. That's why it was all molding, because they were just literally like pushing those plants in as hard as they could push them in, and then like closing the door and being like, okay, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. Let's just go. It'll be fine.
Really?
Guess what? It was not fine.
How would?
Many tons of weed were molded out. And many oil guys from probably, I'd say, around the world made their way to Switzerland in that time to see if they couldn't turn the final product into oil.
Essential oil.
Essential Phyto Cannabinoids.
Wash it.
Really rolls off the tongue. Hey, want to buy some Phyto Cannabinoids?
Horatio, how can we get molds and stuff out of oils? What kind of micron screen was that?
Butane.
I know that barn is full of botrytis. You don't get botrytis out of oil. You just harm people. It wasn't powdery mildew. It's gray mold, and it just harms people. You can't get it out. You'll see it by UV blacklight, and how about forget it and just get to composting?
How's it tested? How's the oil tested to make sure that's not in it when people are getting oil?
Microbials.
Yeah, is that something that's easily done, or is it a very expensive setup? How easy is it to standardize that?
Funnily enough, gray mold tends to behave like gelatin, and it inflates and it binds with the solvent. So in my case, I know it's got mold in it when that came up, because it would bind limonene, and the limonene, I couldn't purge it out, and my only semblance was that it had bonded with something that would basically gelatin and water. Now if you can't get it out, it seems to bind and produce a product that's always, it'll never be stable, and it's always very dark, and it's dark from the first drip. From the first drip of extraction, you know something's wrong, because it's out of bounds. The final product usually just gets wholesale for ridiculously low instead of being destroyed. But with that stuff, it's powdery mildew is the one that can persist through without people knowing, and it looks like a normal product. That's the one that you would have to actually test for in the market.
Yeah, to be honest with you, there's been a few runs that I've done when it's been material from outside sources, and on maybe 2 or 3 occasions, from the results, I decided that I had to ditch it because I knew there was something not right. And one of the things you just said there, being dark and never stabilizing, that was one of the things that one of the batches done, and there was alarm bells with that one, so I had to get ditched. So I suspected that had some kind of mold in it. So what you're saying there pretty much confirms it.
Well, one thing we tend to, when that batch happens, you notice you didn't microscope the material in advance, and if you're lucky enough to save a piece and then put it under the loop, you'll find a ton of hairs that resemble stalks with no balls, but they're all flowing in one direction like grass, and that's the telltale sign of the mold hyphae they're all sporulating and generating. And they tend to look like frost to the uninitiated. That's how I got burnt and then got so insane about microscoping material in advance, because I can't get back my time.
Yeah, exactly right. Very important to microscoping. We've got the USB microscope now, so we're on top of that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I need to do it the same way for hash, or else I could completely contaminate my screens, and then you're into trying to clean your screens with chemicals that then deteriorate the quality of your screen. So anytime anything could then basically infiltrate your work environment, it's an issue. So being able to pull the brakes even before crushing it over a screen and then possibly breathing that in is critical.
Well, then there's a method of maybe separating it in the bubble hash water and stuff. Mark talked about that, is shaking it in jars and stuff like that. And I think I had that little batch that had a little bit, and I thought it might have been floated to the top of the water and stuff like that. So actually seeing if I can do something like that. I do still have some in the freezer. It's been in there for 6 months because it did have PM, and I'm still want to see if I can do something with it. It doesn't have that much. It's got a little bit, but it's still a way. I'm not doing anything with it because of that reason right now. So
The infamous, it doesn't have that much.
Well, no, it does. I cut a lot of it. It's in the freezer. I don't want to, you know what I mean? It's got it. It's there. So it's not like I worked on it before I essentially froze it, right? So.
Well, Michael's making a little bit of dry sift right now. He's got the parchment DVD static trick, and he's gently rubbing the parchment coated DVD case over his screen with resin and collecting. I often find on the edge you collect a couple of varieties. You collect a contaminated version and a non-contaminated version. You can usually see it with the naked eye. And I see a lot of people that go back and forth, but what I try to tell people to do is like spread out the resin as much as you can and just take it one swipe and see what you have on top of your the DVD case. But there's a variety of ways, of course, to do it. You can, D420K was swiping it many, many, many times over the other day, and I saw Mike just now swiping it over quite a few times as well.
Yeah, I'll mention I do definitely wipe off. I keep the parchment tight, and I wipe off that one side that was, facing down. Wipe that off right away, and then I loosen up the parchment a little bit, and I give it some tap. And so I'm letting some of that fall, but that turns out to be a lot of the extra hairs and stuff, or the little stalks that collect from over-carding it. So I'm kind of like playing an odds game there.
Yeah, I like it. I like your style.
Yeah, D420K's got a box of all different materials, and how he goes straight on top, he goes over hard, and then he'll tap it off, stuff like that. He's got quite a little system himself, and everybody's really learning the method, which is really cool. It's definitely working very well for a lot of people, myself too, of course.
It's always nice to have another method in the quiver, It's always nice to have another method in the quiver.
Saves you learning.
Well, I mean, just because, John's bringing up the point of techniques to deal with powdery mildew. In solvent extraction, there are ways to deal with it. It's usually not worth the effort, and because you're going to lose terpenes and everything else, but if a cannabinoid profile is critical to you and your life, there are ways to save back in powdery mildew, not gray mold or botrytis. The product can be saved, so I would assume there are techniques that could be used in bubble water that it would take multiple rinses, but you could eventually wash the surface of the trichome heads to isolate them in the float, because powdery mildew doesn't infiltrate the plant. It doesn't go in the plant material, it's on the plant material. So it's very similar to as I accidentally, sprinkled activated carbon on the plant, and now I wanted to get that char off. So it is possible. I just don't say I do it enough to say, oh yeah, I recommend that you should try it and it worked for me, because I just don't work with bubble hash water and those variables that often. But I would assume that a technique could be created. I kind of wanted to see from Tony if he had known anything from Jibs coming across material like that and had any advice, but he's on either a business call or his dad DTFO.
You leaned up.
It's not a business call. You want to know what happens if you come across bad material? Basically.
Well, pretty much a technique in bubble hash for, something you would be confident to send to test would be a method to gravity isolate powdery mildew on plant material.
I don't know. The best thing I'd say with that is don't use material that has powdery mildew. If it has it, you got to throw it away. That's our thing. If you find it, throw it away. If you had something, the only other methods I've heard of is like if you water cure something, if you soak it in water right when the plant's fresh. Perhaps use a water cure type of thing where we pull the powdery mildew off the entire plant, and then you have to put it into let it sit out, and then maybe freeze it again. But I don't know. I don't know how to separate it once you like run it or put it in oil. I don't really want to mess with it.
Okay, so there is a mutual agreement. Even I was concerned that, well, there's the mildew, but then there's the mildew seeds, and those have a whole different nature and water and weight, and it's something we can't see. Where cleaning up dead plant material, most people feel they can isolate it, but yeah, other than with extreme, micron syringe filters and working with oil, it doesn't seem to be doable or worth the trouble in any. You just have to accept the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Not worth the risk.
Part of farming.
Sterilize the shit out of it, and you can still be able to consume the cannabis as in itself, and that's where actually sterilization would come into play. And I think if I sterilize it, it would break. I mean, it's still a viable product, right? But that's why it's in the freezer and stuff, because I'm not going to throw away eventually something that I can consume as my medicine on a constant basis. So, I mean, for me, putting it, sterilizing it at that point is basically what I was going to do anyways. That was already my train of thought to begin with, but it's just kind of playing around to see if there is a method or another way of being able to do that. But for me, I mean, sterilizing it and then going from there is going to be what I will eventually do with it, and I'm pretty much okay with that at that point. So.
Well, that's kind of what I meant by when it has a profile that's worth saving, then sterilization and all the things that, don't work with recreational smoking, but are for your needs, it usually means sterilization to produce an oral product. Because some people are, it's just like if you get a AC/DC or Halley's Comet or a Charlotte's Web, and this is desperate times and desperate measures. It's just don't think you're going to smoke it or really produce a fun product, but consider the fact you're going to probably blow away all your terpenes in the sterilization process just to hold on to the base cannabinoid ratios.
Not unless you put it, if you put it in a pressure cooker, you're not really losing those terpenes, though, right?
Yeah, but we've got to ice. Sterilization works in many ways. When it comes to pushing and pulling, you may be pulling off the THC out of the plant material instead of staying with the physical material. So that would be more like a hot air extraction to work as a way of cleaning. And that hot air would destroy your terpenes. So that's what I mean by the way you're going to clean it is probably going to cost you, because you need to separate it from the actual carcass material.
I'll do a video on grinding it up and putting it into my compost. I mean, I'm not a big grower. People think I got tons of it around and stuff like that, so that's not the fact. But anyways, yeah, no, it's just something that happens, and a lot of people do this here in the West Coast, especially in BC. A lot of people have powdery mildew problems, and they figure they have all these different methods, and it goes to market. There's too many clubs that have this problem in town and stuff like that. I do see it way too much, from spraying it with different chemicals and stuff like that, so people can't see it. But it's an issue that just needs to be more addressed. People need to know. I mean, if it's there, it's like other people mentioned. If you're a farmer and you got a diseased crop, you get rid of it and you start again. And I think that's what really a lot of people don't do. And me, myself, I don't do that. And I have to learn that that's what I have to do. If next time if it happens, that's what will have to happen. I'll just destroy the crop. So keep my fingers crossed I don't have to do that. The room is being completely cleaned.
Well, like I said, it's just how extreme of a measure to save it. So the measure is usually outside of everyone's means, and like you said, there's a lot of fake ways that aren't worth it. So the general advice is gonna be, unless you're buddies with some expert who has tons of spare time, it's easier to get new material by some other means than to risk it. But there's also the sentiment, we've all smoked it before and we're not dead yet. So this is, everyone has to weigh what they're doing, because if you're dealing with somebody like your neighbor Michael, it's too much of a risk. But if you're dealing with a leather lung hash smoker, he's going to smoke through it. And people have smoked through it forever and a day, but it's just, we're on Hash Church, and this is about, how far can we get medically, and when is it time to slit your wrist to save the body? And when should science come back and save our asses? So, that's kind of what we're talking about. And right now, it's still slit your wrist to save the body.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I want to discuss about that. So, good information people need to know. It's okay. You can't make hash with powdery mildew weed.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't make a topical product in the end. It's just you have to let go of what you want and start to work with where it's appropriate. After sterilization, you have now a shit ton of body cream to help to last you a long time. It's just it's not going to be the way you want.
That's hitting that Tazo tea. I'm not sure if that's a popular brand, but it's what I'd be hitting.
Okay. Hitting some diesel again.
People. Let's see what everyone's saying. Horatio's right. Horatio's always right. Anyone? I ever saw some of the jars of the club? Combat, haha, people are laughing. Who wrote that? Who wrote the Elliot? Horatio's a machine. Indeed. Well, let's go smoke up Horatio's ass hour.
Don't blow smoke up my ass. Last week's experiment was a disaster and a mess and a bunch of burnt shit. He's not always right.
Composting is risky. Powdery mildew persists in the soil.
Yeah, okay. I won't compost it.
B-Man's got his tea. Yeah, I got my tea.
They probably sit in my freezer for years because I don't know.
No, that's not acceptable. Composting is not risky. I'll teach you an 18-day hot compost method in which the entire pile hits 70 Celsius and we kill all viruses and those type of things. Shitty, lazy composting is risky. As with shitty, lazy everything.
That's what I was going to say. I'm glad you said that very thing. So whoever just mentioned that it's risky to compost if you've got PM, it's risky to be a shitty, lazy composter if you have PM. You got to really sort of tighten up your statement there, because otherwise it brings in a broader spectrum of people that don't fit into that category. Or something like that.
They're talking to a guy that can start a compost heap in negative weather that's steaming in the snow. So, yeah, don't just assume all composting is the same.
Steaming in the snow. Horatio's just thrown the gauntlet down for the Compost King Award.
Well, someone just asked me, did I have mites with those lockdown pads? Funny, of 3 plants in the room had mites, and I lowered the temperatures down to like 65, so they really and went absolutely nowhere. And yeah, they're fine, they're gone. They climbed to the top of the stalk. I did a video on it and stuff like that, and you can see exactly where they all lied in the ball, and now the room is being completely cleaned. Lots of work being done.
So were they wet down at the top of your buds?
That one plant, the one barber bud, right near where my drain is, the one side where the drain is where it is. So it has to do with that drain. So that's what I have to concentrate on right now. And I put painting around it, and painting all around the drain and stuff like that to seal it off, and putting a cap on top of that drain because there's no reason for there to be open because it was plumbed for a bathroom. And it's just, you know, it's just doing it over. It needs a good clean. Got to do it. Got to do it for the people. Yeah.
Especially when you got those mice.
I have to take care of what has happened. So, you know what? I've always ran a tight ship, and you know, you let things go a little bit, but all new stuff.
Excellent.
It's important. If you want good hash, it starts with the grow room. And that's exactly where it all starts with, is the grow room and the grower, and of course the genetics. I mean, that's always a key factor.
Have a decent room. You have a decent room to grow with as well, yeah? 2 different grow rooms?
Sorry, I just John will have to remember to mute his mic when he's not talking. That way, I don't think he heard your question there, Grateful Pete. I just muted his mic though. But if you do have a question for him, you can ask him again. And then when he unmutes his mic and answers you, I'll just ask him to mute his mic after he finishes answering.
All right. Johnny, you have two different rooms, yeah? That you grow in. So it's quite a bit of room. So you're pretty lucky. I mean, in retrospect to some of us, but it looks pretty good from what I've been watching on your videos. I think it looks pretty great, especially the new yoga room too. Good for you, man. I'm thinking about doing that myself. I'm partially like disabled, so I was thinking about doing that shit myself, man. I start hurting a lot more the older I get.
Add heat, yeah, definitely something. Like I said, it was in the back of my mind. Mark kept telling me over and over, and one day I did it, and I thanked myself. And now I just gotta watch. Can't do a lot of next stuff. So, but good for you, man, 100%. And yeah, thank you. You know what? I do my best to grow my own medicine, and that's what I took a look at it when I took it down. It was like about half the room is full, and I kind of laughed. And someone was commenting on Canopy and. It's in a video, so anyways.
Let them. They're always gonna complain, but what do they got going? You know what I mean? Let's see what they got. But anyway, it's you. It's all about what makes you happy and what does you. You know, and what does me and what does the next person, and what you take from it that's positive. You know, that's the thing. People just don't know because they've never been through things like maybe me or you have been through. You know what I mean? And it takes a little wake-up call for us to appreciate really the gift that's being given. And that's the plant and the resin that's being taken from that plant. That's precious. I mean, man, my life was stopped in the blink of an eye. And I was in perfect shape, 50-inch back, 19 3/4-inch arms. And when I heard your story, brother, when I couldn't walk for 18 months, man, I was like, hell yeah, I got to meet this guy because we're on the same level, brother. I mean, like, from the whole, you can't like tell people what you've been through. They don't know. You know what I mean? And it's like, just do you, because I fucking feel you, brother, and there's a lot of people that do. And we love what you do, man. You're a positive person. And I laugh my ass off watching you and Mike, man. It's great. So, yeah, screw them. You're great. Great. Well,
thanks. Peace, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for all your good comments and stuff like that. You know, but I mean, it changed me is because Mark showed me about the difference with the gland heads and that separation. That's what it all came into really taking a better look, because I was already doing the decarboxylating and taking a look at how that worked, but getting to the pure plant and learning more about the hash and the resin is just, you know, it's what we do, guys.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's like, thank you, Mark. Thank you, and thank you, Tony. Guys, everybody's doing great stuff in this industry. You know, thank you, everybody. Horatio. Wow, you know what? Everybody's putting a lot of work into this, and that's what's great.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, just for all your viewers watching that are like, well, what am I going to do about my PM? You know, what's going to happen to me? I'm in Johnny Boy's situation. We've got a couple other strategies that I know people in the lower mainland haven't looked at, and I looked at it to when I moved into my new location just for sterilization, but we can reset your rooms with a high-level ozone treatment. And that will dead everything, every seed, every possibility of anything in the room, then going to the next room. And you put all your equipment in the room, and you kill everything that's potentially in it. So it's very similar to when people try to use CO2 to kill bugs by gassing the room in between cycles. But we can use between the UV filtration, because, again, I don't know how much trade secrets we want out in the public domain, but there's a light tool that I'll be using on plant material so that the PM never can develop and elaborate. And it's in a form where you can see the PM dies, turns black, and you brush it off way before you get into flower and even into flower. So that's not a tool that's rentable. You got to bring that in from the EU. But we can rent an ozone generator. And I'm not ready to put my foot down and say it will work on the plant material, but I know it does strip all the terpenes out of the plant material, so there's a good chance it would also function in that sterilizing state. It's just your material is wet. It would have to be dried to be left in an ozone environment for 48 hours. But there are many opportunities. Aaron just posted my secret weapon to the group, so if he wants
it's
to
not
say
really a secret weapon, it's public.
It's public,
it's not really
but people don't do the work. It's your secret weapon. It's my secret weapon. But how many people are willing to put up the 2,000?
I know guys that are in Austria that have been using the clean light in there. In Austria, it's 100% legal to grow. But it's 100% to have flowering plants on your premises. Illegal to have flowering plants. So that being said, Austria is one of the largest clone markets in the world right now because that's all they do is clone. And our friends over at they're one of the biggest clone places, I believe it's Flowery Fields, Daniel and I can't remember the other guy's name. What they have is they have a trolley that they roll up and down the middle of the aisle that has clean lights up the center of it facing both directions so they can get both rows, and then a wing that goes over the top, and they just walk down. If you're on it too long, you'll mess up your plants. And it's a UVC light, so you can use UVC to kill almost all these molds. They use it in the rose industry, and a lot of the commercial flower industry. You could also one thing about the clean. Also, I don't know if you guys ever use any plasma lights, but plasma lights also contain UVC in them too. So you're not getting as much of a UVC dosage like you would with the clean light, but with, let's just say, I can speak just for the Gavita plasma light. It does put off a mild bit of UVC, not enough to harm you. Maybe if you're just sitting under it for 3 days straight yourself, it might harm you, but I'm not spending that much time under a specific light in a room. It also has UVC, and that also helps reduce mold and mold spores.
All right, so we're totally on the same page in all its applications. It's just the $2,000 for the Pro handheld unit. It's not a big deal to me. Well, I just don't own one. I don't own one yet. Give me a chance to use it twice and do a video.
They've been out for a long time.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. People don't do cross-disciplinary research. So to me, I'm like, oh no, there's no way you can produce 1 million molds without PM. There's a solution. Oh yeah, the Austrians got it. I'll get one. But it's one of those things. I'm in that state where I don't do anything until I know I have my bases covered. So that's why everyone's like, why don't you grow? I'm like, you don't even know. I need a clean light, buddy. I won't even try until I walk that thing around the entire structure every 2 weeks. Because of that, that's why I told John, I'm like, there's options. Don't give up. But a lot of people aren't going to run out and get a clean light. Of course, I am. That's kind of why I said the other solution is viable, but ozone generators are usually rentable.
Right. Maybe Mark could post that link on the YouTube for everybody to have, and just in case they want to keep their plan. I mean, this company should, we're bigging up their product. Clean Light. Remember.
Yeah, I will, absolutely. I'll put the link to Clean Light. It's you've already linked it up, but it's cleanlight.nl, and I'll also put it in the comment section of Hash Church. So that's one of the gems that happened to get dropped here in Hash Church today. One of the gems.
Yeah, they've got a YouTube channel with they've got the one with that they run down the massive rows. Those are the kind of things I figured Tony would already know, or when we met we'd talk about, but you guys already know. The scale that works, and because I was looking at it for how quickly could I do the same thing to pasteurize the hash instead of doing it on a larger scale with the plant material when you know you've got a bad situation. But without it in my hands, without that 3-day test to show the white to black, I don't personally spread information I can't prove, but in my research I already know, oh, this is such a done deal, so you've got the experience to let the cat out of the bag.
It works. Like, my buddy, they these guys are pulling like 30,000 clones a week, and that's just not at full production. So they need to have their rooms clean. And they've used everything. They've used all the sprays and everything, and they find that the Clean Light works better than a lot of those sprays as a preventative, And they recommend it. I know our friends over at Serious Seeds. I know I think they rep the product. Maybe they distribute the product in some sense of the way. Because I know Thomas, who works for Serious, he always has one at the cup or something like that at his booth.
Yeah, I saw him in a video. I think he said they were going to be bringing it to America, and when I went, the price said coming soon. So I was like, okay, maybe I saw to bring it in from the EU. The conversion's going to be brutal, but the main benefit is UV light. It's your whole environment. It's your ballast. It's the gaps between the ballast. It's in all your fans. It's in all your equipment you can take apart. You can use it on your bubble bags. It's really gonna be the standard piece of an investment, because as long as you don't point it at your buddy or get it on your hands. Even when I got 2 clones right now, I tried to use high intensity fluorescence to basically poison my way to a sterile plant, knowing that UVC is basically one of our end games. It doesn't work on botrytis and it doesn't kill insects, but it does pretty much do everything else we need it to do. So it's a major partner in real standardization. Even, like I said, down to extract your material and we'll just run it across the hash. But from veg to finish, you can be using it to benefit you in every crack and crevice. And it will kill botrytis as long as it hasn't infected the inside of the plant. Once it's on the inside, then the light doesn't penetrate. But to knock out botrytis in your fan system and your ductwork, that can all be done with just that base model at 1,500 euros.
Yeah, I think you could, I forgot where I was going.
On Monday at the shop, I'll be ordering a few in. So it'll definitely be a hot seller here in the Pacific Northwest.
You're already all over it, John.
How you feeling, buddy?
Well, there you go. You got your solution, John. You're going to get the store to haul it in. Well, there, we didn't have to pay for it. So keep your stuff frozen.
Love you guys.
Oh, well, I remember I was going to say it was about the botrytis. Most of the time, I feel like botrytis starts actually more inside, deeper inside of the plant. Usually it's maybe from maybe a bug flying on your plant dying, and that bug molding up because of the moisture inside of the bud, or a bug taking a poo, a caterpillar pooing on your plant outside. Then that little poo will turn into a mold, and then your bud will rot, create botrytis, and then or picking off a leaf during the flower cycle, and then the lights go off, and then that dew, because when you pick off the leaf, there's a little bit of moisture that comes out of it. Then right there, then usually it will start to mold and become botrytis, and then you can just break the bud off of the plant. I don't know, Tony. You should, you've seen it a lot in the greenhouse too. I'm sure you've run into it.
Yeah, those things that you said, but also like if there's a leak in the greenhouse and you see like water drop on a branch, then it usually builds from within the bud itself and goes out, and then it turns brown. You can see it from the inside out. You just have to cut it off. It's part of farming.
Now, what do you think about wood carrying it over through cycles? Because I know that I built a room that was just for drying. It was like sunchokes, just plants. It has nothing to do with bud. No complicated structure, just basically stem and leaves. And I've done multiple drying cycles, but then I had that last cycle in which I just didn't clean out the dryer. I just didn't care anymore and fuck the crop. And I came back and it had all fuzzed out. And I'm like, that's strange. It was bone dry, and everything else that I dry and I bag is fine. But this environment, the wood persists through the crops, and I don't sterilize what was really just a shed and a stove running in some type of dreadful closed loop. But when I switched out my all my trays to plastic trays, I just watched the lag time of the trash I would leave behind, just looking at how does it perpetuate versus when is it living in the plant, and when do I infect plants? Like, when does a whole greenhouse just go to shit? And you're like, there's no way. It's just, it seems like it must be in the water. And I notice it seems to move, even from plant to plant or from cycle to cycle through greenhouses that are exposed to grass and like open ground greenhouses. Basically, in my case, I'm anti-wood because the woods aren't treated, or if they're treated, then they're dangerous and bad for you. But I just tend to avoid wood because in our moisture condition, botrytis is just as bad as PM. So I tried to not let anything puddle that could become a breeding ground for mosquitoes would pretty much become a breeding ground for botrytis. But you are right that it is like an infection point. I just kind of look at how could I sterilize between cycles to, just like you said, there's a drip from the ceiling. What was in that water? Was it the water, or just the moisture, or was it the actual environment moving those spores?
It could just be water. It could be a bug. It could be water. It could be a broken leaf.
It's all of the above.
All the above. But what you said is right. You should always clean your air filters, clean everything you can, clean your lights, clean your light bulbs, clean whatever you can throughout your room. You could always do, when I had a basement, I would always just like do a pH and baking soda like power washer, and I had everything on poly, so I had white poly, and then I would just change the poly between harvest. It was like I don't know, $80 every time I did my room. So I figured every time I would do it, I would just had everything on double-sided Velcro, take everything down, and then replace it. And I used to do like little different types of organic bug bombs inside the walls and in between stuff, like just whatever you could do in between a cycle, like starting over. Like it's a lot of work, but you got to do it every time. And never have standing water, like you said. And make sure there's not light leaks and little things that could go wrong, because all that stuff does happen in nature when you grow outside. And when you go in greenhouse, the greenhouse is supposed to capture all the light spectrum from the sun, and then add your supplemental lighting so you can capture the full potential of what the plant could actually do in its most controlled and natural environment, you know?
No, I totally agree. That's the upside downside of like ozone. I'm like, ozone kills everything, but it's eating my plastics. Who knows what it's doing to my motor. In a greenhouse situation, I'm like, I've got 6 hours maximum, or my bag to my typical plastic double loop greenhouse is on the go. It's on the go worse than leaving it out in the sun all summer. So it's a gift and a curse, because if you cut it, it'll eat your PVC, but it will sterilize the whole thing in a 6-hour closed shebang. But that's kind of why it seems like the more money you put into your grow when it comes to those extreme circumstances, the better it will last. That's kind of why ozone is something I rent, I don't own, because I don't want to get sloppy and dependent on it and then essentially corrode my entire structure.
There used to be, I don't know if they still sell them, I called it a flashlight, but there was like this O3 emitter that you could buy, and you could set it on a digital timer, and I would have that come out at different times to keep a certain low level on the plants early on, so it never developed it. So I used it as a prevention. And you could buy one. They're like $300. They emit O3, ozone layer.
I don't know. I think botrytis is way worse than powdery mildew. One is usually, sometimes you don't actually see botrytis, and you can see powdery mildew.
Yeah, it's true. It's two different things.
Well, what can we say about using the black light spectrum to, I've never looked at, could I see it, infect a plant, and then look at what could I see in the stem and other structures, because, yeah, powdery mildew you can see, but that's kind of where I'm like, botrytis I only see by the scope when it's too late. But I haven't gone through, basically other agricultural testing university papers to see what in-field stuff do they do to test for botrytis. I'm sure there's some type of litmus test where we can either get it or get it where it is in the environment.
There's also
there's signs.
Yeah, there's
signs.
There's
botrytis. Yellowing.
Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say I've always seen like a yellowing leaf. That would be the first sign that I've always noticed, is like in that one spot. The rest of the plant would look beautiful. Just above it would look beautiful. But there would be one yellowing, dead-looking leaf. And then when you look carefully, you can see it's totally rotting and molded out. And you usually could just pick off that whole piece of bud with no problem, without even a pair of scissors. It's so rotted and molded.
Wear a glove. It's kind of nasty.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like when you touch it, it poofs. That's the way spores are set up. That's kind of why it's, when we get into botrytis, you pretty much have to kill the whole room, because everything you touch it's just like an explosion.
Same with PM.
Yeah, I would say that botrytis is a lot, like if you're talking indoor, I never had that problem. The only time I've seen that is when people use LEDs and the plant doesn't properly it transpires just inappropriately, I guess you would say. It's like when you see leaves touching each other and it leaves a little bit of water between them, that's because there's a relative humidity range in which the plant should be living in and absorbing its water and nutrients and giving off, and it's got to open up little pores to receive CO2, and it has its whole process that it goes through. And there's little dynamic ranges of temperature that it should be during the day and at night. And there's also ranges of when it's best for feeding. Those things with a greenhouse. And so with indoor, it should be you shouldn't, in my opinion, be experiencing a lot of the botrytis type of stuff. But as Aaron said, it would be noticeable because you have the green, and then there'd be a yellow leaf right there, something off.
Well, just to jump in on the yellowing subject for everyone else to know that one of the ways I feed fish is with a yellow balloon in a pond, because most you could say insects that eat that tend to wreck it, grasshoppers, things like that, they're all attracted to yellow. In the case of grasshoppers, they're short-sighted, so they think it's a flower, and they jump into the pond going for the yellow balloon. But right back to the grow room, letting dead leaves fall in your space tells, basically pests, that the environment is basically weak and the immune system is going down. So even the difference between cleaning up your dead leaves immediately versus leaving them in the environment can perpetuate a problem versus start to stem it off. Just for everyone that's listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so the plants on the inside, like, so if you have this, like with LED lights, I always found that it kind of was like, you know how we go, like humans could go tanning in the tanning bed, and yeah, you could get tan if you do it that way and you put gel on, but a real tan is outside in the ocean water and the sun, and you get like a through and through tan. And so it's kind of the same thing with that example. You know, like with the LED, it's like you're getting this surface, and what happens is the plants tend to transpire more, and they put this water. And so I haven't seen it like in I haven't really seen that ever in an indoor as much as I've seen it outdoor, and that's, I think, because of like a bug or a leaf was pulled, or it's such a big connection between the stem and the leaf now versus indoor, that when you break it, you hear it snap, and you see like the little sap, or like I said, a water leak that comes from like one of your gutters, or if you're pumping nutrients, you know, a slow steady leak would cause it, and you would see it, and the leaf would go yellow, and then the bud would go like, it looks weird and formed and rotted, and it gets like brown and like cancerous and moves out. Oh, powdery mildew.
I find high humidity is an issue indoors. Whenever I've had those issues, it's been when the humidity's got too high, or like you said, when temperatures have got a little bit too cold, deep into flower, and they're not drinking as they should do, like past week 5, that's when it becomes an issue. 100%. So I can understand why with LEDs that's going to happen, because you haven't got that kind of ambient temperature that you're getting in the room, and they're not quite drinking as they might do under lights. So yeah, that's when I can see that happening.
Yeah, and people with LED, they get to about week 5 or 6, and then all of a sudden it's just like weird wet stickiness if their environment's wrong. Like, what's going on? So something to look for while you're in your LED experiment, John.
Yeah, well, I will definitely take a good look at that. I actually did a macro photo of all the plants, and there was no problem with it or anything. But you know, good to see, good to pay attention to. Definitely, it's about controlling your temperatures, and definitely humidity is the key.
Humidity.
What's up with, we've been talking about shooty forms of hash for like 2 hours. You know, like we're talking about with disease. What about, let's see some hash. Let's talk about the good of hash, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I have been. I've been talking about how the different microns are just so great for me, and how tasty it is, and the terpene modulations of this fucking New York City diesel, like full melt dry stuff. Yeah, like we gotta somehow soon we'll be able to just trade that shit back and forth across borders and stuff. We're looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
I think we're gonna be old when that happens.
I know, but you know what? At least I can come visit and go to the places where I'm able to.
That's true.
System, man.
See?
It's a matter of time.
As long as I can make hash wherever I go, I'm pretty happy. As long as I can do that, just let me make hash. I don't even need to bring my hash everywhere I go. But let it be set up and made easy so I can make hash wherever I go. And I have to say, it is pretty much like that right now. It's not usually too difficult to make hash wherever I go.
You should go visit your friend in Bamzwai, whatever that was.
In where?
The guy in the beginning of the show. You were talking about him in some Bamzwai or...
Bahrain.
Remember your friend?
Oh, in Bahrain.
Bahrain.
Yeah, that would be one spot where I just don't generally go to places where they try to kill people that use cannabis.
Probably.
won't even do a stop off. I won't even do a stop off in an airport if they're too strict. I'll
Yeah.
make sure that I go via a friendly airport.
I'm with True on that. That's for sure.
But we call Oklahoma here the no zone because it's 99 years in prison for making hash or having hash on you, and it was the life sentence. So they decided to make it 99 years.
After a year in Amsterdam, they could probably swab me and get THC just off of any part of my clothing or any part of my existence. So I get worried when they when they just go through my pockets, bags, anything like that. Gets to the stage where I have to hoover everything out and buy new clothes, and because once you're comfortable being around cannabis legally, and then you have to start worrying about traveling to countries where it's not, it becomes an issue where you have to not only worry about not deliberately taking stuff, but any kind of mistake where there might be like a microscopic amount in some lint, and some wild country wants to say that you're fucking smuggling because you've got a micro dot of cannabis leaf stuck to your foot.
Yep.
So,
I'll tell you, I got something definitely to say about that. Someone brought that up not too long ago, I think, on the Hash Church. And ever since I got my license, and I don't know if you know this, Bubbleman, but I increased my license in the Netherlands, yeah, because I live in Amsterdam. And I went from 5 grams a day to 10 grams a day, based on, and, you know, I explained to her why, you know, because of the plant matter not being part of the actual medicine. And that, you know, I'm actually deprived because I need it for chronic pain and so forth. And it's a longer story, but in any case, I'm able to travel. Like, if I come home for a month, anywhere in the EU, I can travel with 300 grams a month. Now that's yeah, man. And I mean, I've been a fan of cannabis recreationally for a long time, but I mean, after getting hit by a bus on my motorcycle and needing it for chronic pain, arthritis, post-traumatic stress, anxiety, a multitude of things. I mean, it's so relieving to be able to travel with like Cantaloupe Kush and Kosher Kush and, you know, all these great strains that work for my condition because I need it for my pain. You know, I can't go and get Bedrocan. It just doesn't work for me. You know, I need to be able to use concentrates. I told my doctor, and, you know, she understands that, and she said, well, you know, you have to do what you have to do. You have to, you know, provide yourself with the right kind of medicine for your condition.
It's just not covered under the license?
Well, I'm covered within reason because everything that she's told me that I can do, she said I'm able to do.
I just mean if they caught you with oil, they would be fine with that, or they would be like not fine with that?
I think, well, because it's probably solventless, I don't think it would be an issue. Because I make my own dry sift and then I press it in parchment paper and it's not used with anything. So, you know,
yep.
My Hitman, I traveled with my Hitman. I brought my Roar. I brought some stuff I had from the Champs Expo. You know, some nice art.
I've never seen concentrates available through the Dutch program. That's why I asked. So I wonder, like, if it's much like the Canadian.
Oh, no, but it just depends on who you know, too, you know. I mean, I like BHO once in a while too. It depends on who does it, and, you know. Depends.
No. What I'm talking about the legality of your license. Whether you are covered to use concentrates in Holland and the rest of the EU, or if you're only legally allowed to use herb. That's what I'm trying to get out of you.
Well, on the paperwork itself, it's kind of a loophole, I think, because there's a section that says concentrati. It's a Dutch paperwork, all right? And it says the concentration of, and then she fills out that area and it says cannabis, whatever, indica, or this, these are the active ingredients. And then that concentrati area, it says concentrated cannabis. And then she puts in cannabis in that area. So I think that was only, she filled that in after I had explained the fact that I feel more pain reduction using concentrated cannabis forms, whether it's dry sift, BHO, you know, or whatever, bubble hash, or just dried cannabis. I mean, I love dried cannabis, but like concentrates work. You know, they do work, especially when you have chronic pain.
I think so as well. I think especially when you have all sorts of different things, that pure concentrates are going to be way better than diluted cannabis.
Yeah. I mean, I bake too. I like to make my own cakes. Medibles are fun. It's always relaxing, and then it's great. But you have to be able to provide yourself with enough medicine to be able to make that. You can't just go down to the pharmacy and buy that.
Yeah. True enough. Yep. True enough. That's why you can bake it in your own kitchen. The old bake it up in your own kitchen.
Hell yeah.
Like a wake and bake.
Yeah, you're in the morning.
I am in the morning right now. I went and met up with Christopher from Oil Slick yesterday, and him and his girlfriend were in town, and we went and had a nice big session at the CCHQ Vapor Lounge on the top floor. And we headed over to one of my favorite restaurants in Vancouver, Joey's, which was just phenomenal. My goodness. So good.
Medicated pizzas?
What's that?
You having medicated pizzas?
No. I had like a herb crushed salmon with crispy mashed potatoes, and I think he had like a steak and fries, and his girlfriend had some other dish I can't remember. But it was all very, very delicious, and we had a nice vapor session afterwards in the restaurant, and then we proceeded outside to go set up my D-nail in the car, because he said he had an inverter. It was a 350 watt, and he said, it'll work, and I'm like, I don't know, man, mine's kind of like a beefed up D-nail. It's not like your average D-nail. He's like, no, dude, I've used tons of different D-nails. We plugged it into the converter, and it would not heat up my D-nail at all. So this thing's more than 350 watts. A 350 watt inverter did not heat it up past like 91 degrees, and it climbed super slow. It's kind of random. So I pulled out the quartz banger. Wonderful time for the quartz banger. I have to say, it goes in the fab egg real nice. Heat it up with the torch and get really tasty rips right out in front of the restaurant, like we're the fiends that we are. So if you're listening, Christopher, good times. What's that, John?
I was going to say, like always, we're always sitting outside of restaurants hitting on some type of piece of glass or overlooking some beautiful scenery or something like that. It's always it's our medicine. We do it right in front of Shoppers Drug Mart if we have to.
Here's a funny one. This guy says, oh, let me read it. He says, I should have a gong. Then when I ring it, everyone could all take a bong rip.
Yeah.
All right then.
Turn it into a game show.
I don't see everyone taking a bong rip. I did hit the gong. True's on it.
That one hurt. Gotta be quick.
That was funny. I had it set on auto, so the camera was flipping between the three of us taking a rip as we were making sounds. The camera was just like ding, 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 ding. It was pretty funny. It recorded it well in surgery.
Oh, this cantaloupe kush is so tasty.
Oh, there we go. This guy says I don't need a fucking gong. There's an effects thing on the side here. Let me find the effects. Let me find the effects.
Yeah, you have control of that. I saw that earlier.
Oh, there we go. Google effects.
I'm trying to play with it. I'm like, ooh, what's this do?
All right, here we go. Here we go. Getting something new. Thanks, Vet. Medvet. Medvet's like, dude, you don't need shit, bro. We got everything you need right here. Well, those are just really cheesy, like. Oh, wait a minute. Sounds. Let's go back. Let's go back. All right, here we go.
We spent half the time trying to stop sounds.
That's not good. Oh, wait, here we go. Is everyone ready? Is everyone ready?
Yeah, all right.
Hash just Hash Church just took it up. Like we got technical now.
Yeah, this is a true old school session right here, brother.
Like,
I'll tell you, that last rip was absolutely
Epic.
kind of shit.
what's that? A cash register?
Money.
Now we gotta listen to. Now we gotta listen to Mark play with every single fucking button.
Dude, you're using it. This is like when everyone had hats on and that fake shit.
That can be the fail noise for when someone comes in with their mic on making loads of noise.
All right, I will limit it, and I will only use the gong for when we really need a bong rip. I will really try to limit it. 361 people. Only 3 minutes ago, we had 400 people. 39 people left when I hit that last sound effects. I'm joking. Maybe. Shit. I'm sorry, Hash Churchers. Wow, you got a trippy effect going on, Tony. It's like everything's like kind of like blurry to the side of you. Oh, getting for the black and white action, eh? Tony's got the fucking proper shit going on. Maybe you need some facial hair, eh, Tony?
Oh.
Let's see what I got going on here for you.
Ooh. All right.
Look at, I'm in a beautiful,
Nice.
epic glacier. I'm gonna go check it out.
Oh, he's got a crown.
The king. No, give John the crown, dude. He's the king of Holland. You got to admit, you're from Amsterdam. Look at John.
Yeah, there we go.
Does he not look like the king of Holland?
I'm almost 40, but I'll wear that for a little while, Aaron. Hey, maybe after we go off YouTube, we'll show and tell.
Show
Let's
and tell. That sounded dirty. Oh, someone took my picture.
Someone took a picture of me.
Let me fix my hair.
Yep, I'm doing this right now. I'm just playing around myself. Kind of fun.
This is
That's how, and doesn't he hold it like that, so it'll be a roar bong?
Oh, I better check this
that
out.
tool.
Okay, wait. Awesome.
Cool, huh?
Just reading some messages from people that I'm getting while we're in church. I get all sorts of different messages coming in from all sorts of different ways. And so I try to keep up with it. It's a little bit complex. That's a good look for you, True. In the doghouse, are you, brother?
Grand Doggy Perps.
Oh, that would have been a perfect time for me to say, are you in the doghouse, brother?
Yeah, nice.
Smoking a Chem Dog hybrid.
Tony's rocking. Oh wow, Tony's rocking the dog pirate. Arr. All right. Oh, that's a good look for you, Tony. That's the one right there.
It's Bozo.
Straight up. It's Aaron rocking over there.
I got two faces, bro.
Dude, what the fuck is that? Is that a balaclava or like a gummy bear Batman or something?
Whatever I can find. I don't even know how to take that shit off.
Fine, man. All right. Good that everyone's having a fun time with their... Tony's got a snorkel.
I'm not actually sure how to turn it off now.
You got to go to the bottom and click the X that says remove all effects. I shouldn't have been so nice though. I should have let you...
Yeah,
Where is it?
Right at the bottom.
At the bottom.
Way at the bottom. Yeah, Medvet's laughing. He says, I broke Hash Church by sharing the effects tab.
372, we went up a few more viewers. It's okay.
Damn you, Medvet. Hey, Johnny B.
I can't figure it out.
Right. John's pulling up the phone.
Oh, dude. What mask is that, Aaron?
Wasn't that a dual bong rip? That's why I had 2 bongs in my hand. I heard 2 big dongs, so I had 2 bongs.
What was that about 2 dongs, John?
You said 2 bongs, so I grabbed 2 bongs.
Just joshing. Hey, speaking of Josh and Andy and Mason, the 3 random dudes that I met at the BCMP Vapor Lounge yesterday on the top floor while I was waiting for Christopher, who came up from Oil Slick. These were random nice dudes that I met and got to give a really good lowdown on sort of the differences between... I mean, they just walked by and saw the mothership and kind of were tripping on it. Didn't really know what it was, but had heard a little bit about the egg. They weren't sure this was it. And then they were real excited, so I invited them to sit down, and I went through the OG Kush and the NYC Diesel and the CBD Renee, even my 7-year-old Hindu Kush, Bubble Hash. And the barb, 99% actually. So we sat and had like a small gauntlet with these 3 dudes that had never smoked full melt dry sift or bubble before, only oil, and it was an interesting education, just in a short.
You spoiled them, educate them. I think you spoiled them. You ruined them for life.
I kind of tried to explain that to them.
At least you gave them the pre-warning. I think that's always fair. As long as you tell people first, I'm about to make a snob of you. Be warned and then do it, then that's fair.
Yeah. I said to them, I said, it could be a while before you see this again, or you could make the right choices and you could just have it in a very short period of time. Like, you know what I mean? Some people are just all over that shit. They just figure it out. They're like, I need to have that. I'm going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. Other people, not one of the 3 guys that has that seed planted in his mind and goes out there and decides he's going to do it for himself, then it's enough.
Yep, totally. I missed a little bit of that, but just try to remember to mute your mic there, Johnny B. There's it comes back and reverberates when it's not on mute. And I'll mute mine now. Well, now, but no one's talking now. Now I have to unmute my mic. Damn.
Just log me out for a second, but I'm back.
Do you also tell oil guys when you're about to hit this, you're not coming down anytime soon, and they're about to get fucked up even though they think they have a tolerance?
Yeah, that was interesting because they all definitely said, like, at least about 30 or 40 minutes later that they were surprised at how high they still were. Because we hit all the flavors in all of like 6 minutes. It didn't take a long. It's not like we sat there and like puffed, you know, for 40 minutes. It was just like I did a round, boom. I hit these guys hard and fast, and then like half an hour later, they're like, "Wow, we're still really high." I'm like, "Yeah, well, of course, man. Like, what do you?"
People are used to equating the level of highness to the length of the session. They don't realize that when it's a serious saturation, that it's then going to be a serious length of time before it wears off.
I think they were particularly noticeable of the high when they got up. That's when I always would notice such a high. And dry sift is such a full profile that really the first time you really get rocked with a dry sift rip. A dry sift rip is it's a somewhat memorable experience. That was the first time I ever heard "If it don't bubble, it ain't worth the trouble" in 1995. When I saw it drip down the stem of the pipe, and Rob was all excited. He's like, "Look, look at it, it's just dripping right down the stem. That's the good stuff right there. I was like, oh shit. Damn.
My first dry sift was at the DNA in Amsterdam.
Excellent.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. Fucking, it was awesome. Cannabis Cup. It changed my world. First hit of dry sift. Oh my god.
What kind of dry sift was it?
Man, it was New York sour diesel.
Very lovely.
Yeah, man. I smoked some 2-year-old Chem Dog with Ed. Fantastic. That was also probably the oldest hash I've ever smoked, and it was the most tastiest. Totally changed my whole world.
My friend has some in Amsterdam that's 24 years old this year, and I smoked it when it was 11, 12, 13, 16, and 17 years old. 17 was the oldest I smoked it at. It was full melt dry sift, made in 91.
I was like a sophomore in high school.
Yeah. It was, I graduated that year.
Jesus. 91.
What strain was it, Mark?
It was the B67. It was like the old school skunk #1.
Yeah.
Nice. I grew up in Maine and New Hampshire back in the early 90s, and we used to smoke a lot of NL #5, NL #1. And we also had some like goo and purple jasmine, some real funky stuff grown by some bikers back in the day. That was it was only had by some really, really, really rare people, and they didn't like to part with it too often. It was very expensive, but man, if I could get my hands on that, I've been looking for it for years. I'd love to actually find out exactly what it was. This stuff had a feel and a taste and a smell like I've never seen still in like the 23 years I've been smoking. And I've seen a lot of strains, and I've never found anything like it.
It could go into that book like urban cannabis legends or urban cannabis myths. You know, were they real? Are they just stories? Because everyone has that story of that one just ridiculous herb that they saw, of course, when they were younger, which I think has a lot to do with the way we see it when we're younger. The way we experience it is so much more like, I don't know, I can just say I have a few stories myself of just different herbs from my past where I'm just like, man, like, I haven't seen anything like that since. You know, maybe they're lost. You know, did we lose that much? Because that hurts if we did.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope I find that. I really do someday. And then all of a sudden it just comes around and someone's growing it, I'm smelling it, going, what the hell?
Yeah, and then you could like get the terpene content profile and the cannabinoid profile and really have like a full understanding of what it actually is, regardless of what anyone wants to call it.
That made it stick inside your mind that, you know, like, yeah, exactly.
It was like when I smoked the Tan G, it was like, what the beep, 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 beep. It was amazing.
Tan G?
Right? So, I mean, it was such a different, amazing flavor, and I mean, smoking with weed, it took me right back to finding that new terpene. So when you first try something for the first time, those flavors are outrageous. I can go back to when I was younger, and I was trying different herbs. And those flavors, they stick out because you've never tasted anything like that before in your life, so they're so unique. And I hear it from Mike a lot because he's new at smoking herbs, so the flavors and the pines and all the different aromas he gets from it is quite unique. I think Horatio, he smiles when I said that. So.
All right. Well, Joe Human wants me to make it verbal that they need 107,000 signatures to legalize freedom in MS. People can grow 9 or less at home, medical, recreational. So I'm not sure where I guess you would Google that unless he wants to put something more up that I can direct people to. If you're living in MS, what is that, Mississippi?
Yeah, Mississippi.
So if you're living down in Mississippi, Oh, look, there's D420K. He's in the YouTube chat, but he's not in this chat. Well, I know I sent him the link to this morning. He's in the group. That is for sure. All right. Sorry about that, guys. My brain freezes a little bit when I look at some of these other chats and stuff. Okay, maybe Joe Human's going to bring something up more. No, yes. He's the creator. Oh, Kelly Jacobs is the creator of Initiative Ballot 48. So I guess you can Google Kelly Jacobs and Ballot 48, Mississippi. So that would be one way. And yeah, however, if you're in that neck of the woods and you want to help get more freedoms in regards to cannabis and being able to possess and grow it, then I guess you would want to research that bill and figure out getting behind it. Mississippi. Cool.
That's great.
Has anyone talked about how the tribal nations can now trade interstate?
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, just lots of different people
What
dropping.
happened to Tony?
Tony? I'm not sure.
I said that was, isn't that Tony's subject area? Is he just leaving now?
Oh, wow. It was weird. He was just a set of hands there for a second. It was proper.
Let's hear some about the power of the Native Indians to get ahead of all other cannabis industries by their interstate power.
Well, Reuters did an interview with us on this trip, and that's going to come out probably Monday. We also have a video that I'm going to put out that's already done that does an interview of Barry inside, getting videoed the owner of Foxbury and the reporter from Reuters, and that kind of gives you an insight. But basically, people have kind of the misunderstanding of how that works, and each tribe has to create its own ordinance, and in those ordinance, they have to have different types of conditions and rules. And so this has been worked on since early in 2014, and they're really strict. There's a commission's office, EPA office. The tribe doesn't actually work for with this particular thing. Doesn't actually have tribes working on the land. More of being kind of like an enforcement and agency with it, with their own ordinance, just similar to how a casino would be set up on their land. And so they, the synergy in which we create is the ability to also work with, they have a different type of herb farm and root farm and some different things that we can incorporate into topicals, into teas and things. But the part that works really well with, in that sense of California, is that there's a large grow facility, but it's not anything near like where people are like it's all taking over. Or there's going to be they're going to be growing so much. It's like 100,000 square feet of total space, and of that there's processing lab, and then there's ways for us to turn things into products. And so you know, there's a mechanism in which there's local farmers that grow there, and there's different types of centers that are there that have patient counts and plant counts that can be assigned in different things. So we could essentially purchase that material, process that material on the land, put those into products, and distribute them back to into those current networks that the centers have or the dispensaries have. So it's a really fluid plan to allow us to actually make all the products that we want to on this federally protected piece of land, if you will, that's exempt, because they have their own ordinances and laws. So shipping it between tribes, I mean, there's potential to do that, but these things are strategically laid out among California, so they're 8 to 10 hours apart. So the whole point of why you would have 3 different points in California is because it's a long state, and so you have different markets for different parts of the state and different types of current networks that exist. So it's honestly just a first step that the tribes are taking in the direction of medicinal herbs. They look at cannabis as a medicine, like a natural medicine, and so they don't pay a state tax; they pay a federal tax. They have laws that they have to enact. They have compliance that they have to follow, and there's systems that have been in place for them for quite some time now. So it's a way for us to get product to market a lot faster. We'll be able to actually do different things that we weren't necessarily able to do in California while the laws are being created and while we're going to the legalization stage perhaps in 2016 there. But there's no state to state. Nothing leaves the state.
No, I mean, that's still seriously more advanced in those synergistic opportunities than any other, you could say, company or group of individuals that I've seen in at least the headlines have been able to do. I mean, we have lots of corporations in Canada, but they can't accomplish anything, real and significant in the world. So even though it's not like what people think in a state-to-state transport and some above-the-law scenario, it is a major step to being like a normal world business where there is no taboo, and they could get closer and closer to where that could become a possibility.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's basically it. And the fact that, with states still dealing with 280E, it's a crippling tax to any type of business that's trying to produce a seed to product type of business model. And so, I think it gives us a little bit more, sense of freedom to be able to, do it in a time that's still volatile there. But there's still a big, huge patient base, and so, our main objective is the prana line of capsules, sublinguals. Obviously, we want to be able to bring DNA, genetics, and seeds, and be able to do through and through products that way with live resin and full melt and terp melt and all kinds of new terp stuff that we're going to do together. Just allows us to get into a market without having to have that full the state laws there just yet. So they build these they build these ordinances and laws around already existing current ordinances in the counties. It's not like they're just saying, hey, we're going to put up this cannabis greenhouse factory right there, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's definitely not anything like that. And it's not something that was inspired just because the DOJ came out. This is something that was being talked about for almost a year now.
I like your tree and Roman background, Tony, as you're speaking so seriously. It's very cool to see they have these trees, Roman background in the background. Very good, very good.
But yeah, my brain's a little hurt from that trip, though, because there was a lot of back and forth on this jet to get to places. Aaron was on it.
Are you complaining of the side effects of the jet-setting life?
It's definitely deep in my ears and inside here since I got back.
Yeah, maybe one day international travel will become just a better experience than it currently is.
I'm not complaining about using a jet for transportation, though.
As soon as I can grab on board, then it will be a much better experience.
You can just come on with your whip and just plug it right into the little
into the seat. It should come with a special seat for dabbers where it just folds out and it's got the nail all set up.
The dab tray.
You don't want to smoke on a jet, though, because then the pilots themselves are subjected to the smoke. And, when you're going like almost Mach 1.
The key is to train them high. If you train them high, then they're cool, because then they've trained that way, and then they know how to deal with it. So they just have to make sure that they don't get too high when they train, but give them a good level of cannabinoid level and then let them train. Then there'd be special smoker-friendly pilots.
Well, of course there are. Think of Snoop Dogg's pilot and Lenny Kravitz's pilot and you know, the Rolling Stone. There are pilots that are well trained. They're called celebrity pilots.
That's it.
You know, there's a. You guys got to think about. There's different planes. The plane we're on is like, literally, it's like it's a military air vac plane. Is what they used it for in Norway. I think it was Norwegian or some shit. And it's a jet. It's definitely a jet. A thing goes super fast. And like, I don't know if they used it as a fighter jet or nothing, but it was pretty fast. And that being said, yeah, Tony, maybe you should try the what do you call it? The bobsled, bro, if you want to feel some G-forces.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, you're talking like this is the bobsled jet. Like, you get in the jet, and it's like, we got to go to the next grow. Get in and suit up. I thought you guys were champagneing it and dancing and no seatbelts and everything I've seen in the video.
It was like, for me, it was like 30 minutes in the air.
That's it.
To get where we need to go. That's how fast we were going. From L.A. to Northern California in 30 minutes. Boom. Going 800 miles an hour.
That's very fast.
Come on. You get a lot done, though. You get a lot done.
Breeder Steve and Neville are my heroes. Well, that's interesting because the first time I ever met Neville was with Breeder Steve in Arian's apartment right above the greenhouse on off the dam rack, the dam strat.
Say that again.
Just the first time I ever met Neville was back in like 2001 maybe. And Steve was really in good with Arian back then. Arian just was like, it was a unique way to hang out with Arian, I'll say that much, because I was just like, wow, he was just so nice and so hospitable to Steve in every way, shape, or form that, yeah, it was a good experience. And that he had Neville hanging out upstairs in the apartment on one of the occasions that we went up there. And Howard Marks was also up there that time. That was the first time I'd kind of met any of those guys in person. With Steve. When is Company Colorado going to finally get a public place for people to come and puff without worry? It was great to visit last June, though was a bit worried not knowing anyone there and being from a strict state.
Ever. They're gonna get worse. They're gonna try to really crack down this year on all kinds of shit. See,
Yeah.
you have to remember that the MED here in Colorado is ex-cops. People that were ex-cops for the last 30 years that generally probably arrested you are also now in charge of their marijuana enforcement division. So they have a strict thing.
All they can do is trust cops, bro.
That's it.
That's the only people they can trust. Some cops that don't trust us.
Yeah, sure.
But I think there'll be other places in the world that'll open up for smoking soon.
Thanks for letting me know.
You saw what they were
Good stuff.
in Jamaica with the press and everything. Should make them crazy.
Take it easy, Ethan. He's going out to brave the mountain, but I just can't do the slush. I'm going to go poach the hot tub at the Westin Hotel, which should be fun. They got a nice hot tub indoors and outdoors. Probably go out to the outdoor one, but if it starts raining too much, then just head on into the indoor one. It's tough living up here in Whistler. Tell ya, I could write a book on hot tub poaching here in the city of, or the village of Whistler, because there's a lot of beautiful hot tubs with amazing views in different areas, and if you can look like you belong there, you can get in pretty easy, which is just awesome.
We've done that here in the Mediterranean as well.
Nice. Someone in the chat is telling me, Joe, who's telling me that we met back in '04 at my gallery, the Melting Point, and I shared a 17-week haze with him in a charcoal-sized brick of blueberry bubble hash. Back in July of '04. That sounds good. Very good. Yeah, I did hear the news, Michael Boyack, that Howard Marks had inoperable cancer, and you know what? It wasn't a huge surprise to me because he looked very sick when I saw him in Amsterdam get inducted into the Cannabis Culture Hall of Fame or whatever that was there. That was I think it surprised a lot of us to see that he had his health had been failing so much. It was unfortunate. Definitely was a big fan of his book and am a fan. I like Howard, super nice dude. Enjoyed the few times I got to sit back and have conversations with him, and I hope he does well with it. I hope he kicks its ass. I hope he survives his cancer.
Well, man. Amen to that.
Seems like a lot of the old guys aren't really under this understanding of consuming it orally, you know?
Oh, it's so good, dude. I've been juicing a lot lately, and it feels so good, man.
Yep.
Yeah, everything works great, you know what I mean? When you juice, you feel that, you know, I like to work out too, so it's like, you know, when you juice, you feel like you're getting what you're missing, you know?
Yep.
In so many ways, it's so healthy. I mean, everything I've done for like nutritional research, it's the healthiest thing you could possibly do. And hemp protein, add that in your diet. Woo.
Yeah, it's all good for sure.
You know, few dabs. Couldn't hurt.
Can't go wrong with dabs.
I think I'm going to take off from Hash Church.
Yeah, I'm going to shut her down in about 18 minutes, Tony. It's been almost 3 hours, but thank you very much for joining us, as always. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
I'll give you a call a little later on today, maybe.
All right, man.
Peace, Tony. Good seeing you again.
Tony, we'll talk to you soon.
Manana.
Manana.
For real, man. Manana.
All right. All right, you guys. I think I'm going to check out with Tony now, too.
All right, Aaron. Thanks for coming in, bud. Sorry I waited 44 minutes to send you the link, as you were like literally, I think you texted me at like 6:30 in the morning or 7 in the morning, like, oh, where's the link for Hash Church, man?
Hey,
Like,
whatever,
yeah.
I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bud.
You guys have a good weekend.
Yes.
Take it easy, man.
Woo-wee! Hell yeah. Looking forward to this. Just sitting in a room that's slightly cold for 3.5 hours, and I've almost got that little bit of a shiver in me. I'm gonna be looking damn forward to hitting the hot tub.
Nice. I'm envious. I think I'm gonna go join my missus for a little while. It's almost 10 o'clock at night here, so.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for coming in and sharing your stories.
Cheers, man. We'll see you again next week.
Have a good one, dude.
Good to see you, Drew. Johnny B. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you, guys. All right.
And Ben. Who's Ben?
Well, I'm definitely making hash today, guys, and you know what? I'll probably do that later, and I think I'm going to wash that. That would be the watermelon that I grew back in September, and it was very fine. So that's my next run.
That sounds good. Little
Yeah.
Oscar.
You know, you got to do that. It is hash. We make hash on Sundays, Sifty Sundays, Hash Church. I should make hash. Nothing to dry sift yet. Actually, there is one old plant upstairs. Someone made a comment. There's one hanging in my garage. I forgot about that one too. But good old day for making hash, of course, as always.
Yeah, every day is a good day for making hash. You can't go wrong with that. I'll tell you, it's just.
You gotta dig into your freezer too and make some hash.
Yeah, you know, I've got my leaf frozen and saved, so I can juice that and freeze that, what I juice, and I've got pounds of bud that I've just got frozen that are ready to they're ready to go. I keep them in a nice moisture-free environment so they don't have any. I've gotten rid of any type of ice or freezer burn or moisture that's getting trapped in the bags, and it's just a matter of
Oh, see, I didn't have damaged
healing them a multitude of times.
Well, I mean, I haven't done this yet because I don't freeze, but there's also those packets that remove oxygen that you do in the Mylar for storing dried foods. But for freezing, you can also, those oxygen suckers, they take the oxygen out of the bag, which also pretty much it also changes the way the ice forms, so it doesn't form in the same shape that tends to destroy the cell wall.
Right. Right.
So, maybe somebody on one of those survivalist websites that orders them by the 50,000 pack will give it a shot and see how it helps preserve their bud.
Nice. The survivalist websites. Well, you know what? I think I'm going to call it a church here as we have a nice moment of silence, and I want to thank everyone for coming in. We had a good church, I think. It was almost 4 hours, 3 hours and 45 minutes, so shit! Thank you all for tuning in. Very cool. I hope that we discussed some things that were of valid content to you guys, and otherwise I want to thank all my friends just for coming and shooting the shit with me on this nice Sunday morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on where you are in this big world of ours. So, thank you, True. Thank you, Horatio. Thank you, Johnny B. And thanks, everyone that was in church today, and all the people in chat. Thank you. We were close to 400 people today, so let's get it up to 500 next week. I'll hit up the live event on my YouTube channel, and you guys will be able to save that link, copy that link, and shoot it out onto your social medias to see if we can't get a nice large group next week. And we'll invite Rob Clark and Dr. David Allen and some of the people that missed today, and hopefully it'll just be another great Hash Church. So thanks for tuning in, everybody.